Hi, we're live. How's everybody doing today? And so anyhow, we'll get that all set there for you, and that. And so anyhow, the funny thing is, again, I couldn't make out what she was. Well, I couldn't understand what she was saying. A lady called here, and she was asking a question. I couldn't understand what the question was that she was asking, and I think she had a German accent. So, and because I don't speak German, I speak English. I had a hard time understanding what she was trying to say, and it sounded like she was asking what time our kitchen closed. We're not a restaurant, um, but and I think that's what she's trying to ask, but I wasn't too sure what she was really trying, what she was actually asking in that. Or maybe she was asking if this was the Timothy Plain show. It is. So I can answer that question. That's what she's whoever you are, or whoever she is, um, and that kind of stuff. So again, like I said, that's so again, I had a hard time trying to understand what she was trying to say because she had a German accent or some type of heavy accent I couldn't understand. Um, so again, yes, we are live on the Timothy Plain show, and again, it is very because I'm not bilingual, so it's hard for me to communicate with other cultures. Um, and I don't have, and the other thing is I don't have a translator at this end of the camera to answer the phone lines. Um, so it is hard for me to understand what people are actually are trying to say or ask. Um, but it is Halloween weekend. The end of Halloween weekend. It is beginning of Halloween week, and so anyhow, we're coming up to Halloween. That's so again tomorrow is Devil's Night, guys. By the way, I live in Wyerton, Ontario, Canada, on Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, and South Bruce Peninsula. And so anyhow, I got my costume all ready, hung up for Wednesday morning for work. And so again, so happy Halloween, guys, and that kind of stuff as well. And and that so again, I honestly wished I was bilingual. Now the only person in my family, guys, that is bilingual is my cousin Tony in Montreal, Quebec. He's the only one that can actually retranslate anything from German from Italian to French to Spanish to Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, any language that's out there. He's been to college, he's been to university, and that he's English speaking, but also too he's authentically Italian cultured, Spanish cultured. So he is bilingual in every language. His plus his own culture language, Italiano, Italia, Spanish, Greek, uh, German, French, um, Austrian, Transylvanian, Romanian. So the guy is from every country culture out there. The guy is very bilingual in the different languages because of the type of his job field that he's in. Um, so again, sometimes guys they get me mixed up with my cousin Tony Revoy in Montreal, Quebec, and that kind of thing. They get us mixed up. I only know again. I'm not bilingual. Again, growing up when we were kids, just because of his father and that kind of thing, I've learned a little bit of tiny little bitty witty bitty of Spanish. Not too much of it, not that well speaking of it, but I understand. I can understand like hi and goodbye or something like that, or little kind of little words there. Um, I might have picked up down the road. No, because his father, biological father, used to speak Spanish all the time, Italian. So is authentically Greek, Italian, Spanish, Italia. So that's so again, like I said, so again, my band bilingual guys is very very bad. I speak again. again, when my mom was alive, she never ever spoke French that much in the house when I was growing up as a kid. Just a little bit here and there, but she was originally born and raised in Mount Royal, Quebec, and that so and that. And then when she moved to Ontario and I was born, she stopped speaking French. She never kept it up. So again, all these years growing up at home and that kind of thing, and her being a single mother and me being at home with her as a kid, she never spoke. She spoke very little French. She didn't keep up. She didn't keep up the French culture. Her mother, which was my grandmother, was from Aberdeen, Scotland. She was actually originally, before she was a Cowdrey, she was a Fowler. So again, I am also, that's how I'm related to the Fowlers. Yeah, Fowlers, not flowers. There's a difference. Uh, so again, that's how I've got such a crisscross nationality, and then on my opposite side, on my dad's side, my dad lives here in Wyerton now. He's from Brockville. I moved up here from Peterborough, um, and that kind of stuff. But on his side, well, my mom's side was more of the French, Irish, English, and Scotch and Dutch. Um, Bad combination. Um, but my dad's side is basically strictly First Nation Irish. Um, so with a little bit of UK English, Dutch. Um, but like I said, so again, like my dad's mother, she was from Desirano First Nation Reserve. She was native. Um, she was Mohawk. Well, back those days they were known as Mohicans. Um, but she was originally Mohawk. So Blackfoot Mohawk Mohican. Uh, so again, I've got a lot of cross culture mixture blooded myself. Um, so far now, somewhere in my family, if I checked out my family tree, there might be the odd relative down the line. It might have been amongst my great ancestors of my great grandparents. I don't know. I have never checked it out. Nobody's ever said anything yet, but there might be somewhere down the line. It might be a little German, but not much. But like I said, but technically that goes further back, almost before the time of Christ, when Christ became a cowboy. Tried to, anyways. But that was a joke, by the way. And so again, that was years back. Going back to histories and that kind of stuff. And maybe before I met my wife, I was 5 years as a Legion member in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. I was associate member. I was actually he also carried colors on the color guard for the zone sergeant at arms that are now zone. They were not zone then. There were too much fruit fairies then to get on zone. District command. They were too fruity. Too fruity of a pair. But that, like I said, that was branch 52 for you guys. That's what I said. They were like fruity tooty. Fruity. Well, we can't make too much of a joke now because everything is. At one time we could sit back there. We were free to say, "Oh, there were fruit cakes. There were this and that." Nowadays you can't. Nowadays, because now with again, we're not trying to get in politics, but now because it's like everything now, the liberals have decided to, which is kind of good, to actually open up the human rights and actually allow what you call fruity tootyism. What we used to call it back then. We cannot really call it that now. I'm just cracking a joke, guys. Nothing against anybody of those communities. Nothing like that, and not to make fun of them. I'm not trying to do that. It was it's just coming from past experience as I was growing up. The way the generation, just giving you a look back on what the generation might have been looked like when I was a kid growing up. A lot of gay rights was all illegal. Um, so now we're in a generation where everything now is pretty good. It is all becoming now since the liberals have taken office. I don't even know why I'm putting them high on a pedestal because I come from the NDP persuasion. uh, but uh, but again, it again they're starting to allow to legalize and allow a lot of stuff that but years ago they didn't allow. Like years ago, like anybody who's into same sex marriage or gay rights or whatever were persecuted for it. Or walking down, or men walking down the street with nice pretty dresses on, makeup, long hair, ponytail, colored hair, dressing like women, that kind of stuff, or transgender surgeries back those days. All those when I was growing up as a kid, that those generation. Now I had friends in high school. I can I was good. I had good friends in high school that did that, but they did it under the illegal belt. We called it then because back those days it was illegal. It wasn't fully legalized yet like it is today, and the rights are protected today. But back those days, for anybody going through high school, for the guys that did it, the guys that actually were brave enough to go do it. That wanted to choose to live their life that way. They did it back those days. When guys went for the gender changes and that kind of thing, even parents that would parental consent for it. If you're under 18, you'd have to have, even probably today, have to parent. Doctors have to parental consent for that kind of stuff. Um, but my close friends that went and did that back then, it was illegal. Back in the 90s and the 80s, back in the 80s and the 90s, or you go way back to the early 60s, all that kind of technology was illegal. It was considered to be offense, not offensive. It was more of a it was more of a, or adults that went and did that back in those generations, was isolated and actually were institutionalized and pulled away out of their everyday community. They were actually they were actually totally discriminated against. Today, yes, you do see still a lot of that today. But again, today there is more rights protection for people that choose to live in those kind of communities. Now they have places, agencies they can go to, and anybody that actually does discriminate them can actually legally have them up on criminal charges for it now. Like, their rights are so protected. Like, if somebody that was, for an example, that was, that was the same sex, married, or went through one of those what you call medical gender changes, and they wanted to go to church, and they walked into a church, and the church decides they're going to discriminate against them, they can actually have legally they have the legal right to go to a human rights gay right lawyer, and they can actually have that minister or that church congregation totally shut down, and they can actually have criminal charges pressed against the actual church, and they can sue for discrimination, or they can actually legally have that minister legally arrested, because that's what the law says today. They can have as much as high religious standards as they want, but they cannot deny somebody that is choose to live the life of transgender. But if they come from, or before they did that, if they come from a Christian upbringing, and they want to try to go back to church, they go to sit in church and they're discriminated from being in church. The church itself can be up on charges. The church itself can actually now get arrested. There is no. They are treated all equally to everybody else that discriminates. So a lot of them just choose not to get involved in the religion end of it, but again, which is good. But again, if some did choose to go there, or if they walk into a bar or they're discriminated in that bar, uh, and that kind of thing, they could actually have the bar management up on charges and arrested. Like I said, that is the way the new law system is with their community. So they can go anywhere they like, more or less. They have the right to go anywhere they like we do. They technically they're no different than we are. And that kind of thing. It should not be treated any different because they've changed a few things about themselves. That's all I'm allowed to put. But again, like I said, I'm not making fun of them. Like I said, I had friends growing up as a kid, and that kind of thing. I had two good friends that I grew up with and went to the same church I went to. And it was a Pentecostal church. They were nice guys, but again, they were a couple, and because they were a couple, they were discriminated from the church. They were outcasted from the church. The church kicked them out of the church because they were gay. And that I guess that was the generation too, when it was a persecution generation where they were they were going through the legalization of it all. But now, if it was to happen now, big time, that there is if those laws and rights had stood against that church back then that church would have been that church would have been the leadership of that church would have been legally would have been arrested and taken down, big time. Like I said, it would have been a nasty shit show. Trust me. Tactically. So, technically, there would have been a big, what do you call, evangelistic takedown and handcuff arrest and taking out of that Pentecostal church, and that Pentecostal church would have been up on discrimination charges, big time. With criminal charges, and the head of the church will be all sitting in be persecuted for discrimination, not because of their faith, because of their discrimination on top of that, for the account of opening their mouth. Against the two guys I knew, and again they were great people. Again, I can't mention those guys' names, but they were good friends of mine for years. One, I think, actually, I was talking to another friend of mine. I think one, and they lived in my apartment building for years when I lived in Peterborough and that kind of thing. When I first went out on my own and that kind of stuff. After I got married, I met back up with them, and then they were living in the same building. They lived 2 doors up from me. They used to run for years they used to do they used to make pretty good homemade Halloween costumes, so they had pretty good skills. These two guys had pretty good skills. They did cool Halloween costumes. They could do everything from superstars to wrestlers, Star Wars, nice costumes. Like they did nice costumes. They did live. They used to do live production theater costumes. And that kind of thing for show place and that big theater guilds and that kind of stuff. And they used to invite us to all their events. They used to invite me to all their events, everything. And I thought it was great. I met the guys, and I shook some of their hands and everything else like that. When they put on their events, their Pride Day events, their parades, the big dances under the market hall, and they had a bar license too, everything. They threw. I have to grant though. They threw a lot of cool parties. They probably throw a lot of better parties than we would, but they were really nice parties. I always liked it, and that kind of stuff. But they were great people. They actually own their own in their own community. For their own community, they have bought and leased a building, and they've hired their own licensed bar management, so they got all the Smart Serve licenses too. They have, like we did, like some of our people would. They have their own businesses and that kind of stuff too. They have a licensed establishment down in Peterborough as well, in the big cities. The one place, a really nice place, the Purple Rooster. It's right downtown, in the heart of the city. And actually, it is. They actually got two. They have 2 bars. The community, for their own community. They have their own 2 Pride gay bars. One is next to which is a downtown bus terminal, city bus terminal. A really nice place in there, guys. Really looks ugly on the outside, but guys, when you go inside, it looks nice. They got it very nice looking. Um, they do a wonderful job on the inside, the decoration of the outside. The outside looks kind of shitty, but it's an old building that they leased. But the inside they got really nice looking in both places. And then there's the Purple Rooster, and then there's the Gargoyle. The Gargoyle is their full bar and hotel. And so again, that again, they're not a rough. Again, I have to grant for their community, it is not a rough bar. It is really it is a good bar. They're both good bars and hotels. They're a little bit like the Legion. They have their very strict regulations and rules when you go in, and that kind of thing. So they've got it well secured. And that kind of thing. So they have very respectful staff within their own community and that kind of stuff too. That runs both bars. So I said that's when I became of age though. I was 19 when I went in there. So I know the two guys used to invite me in there. We used to sit in there, have a few drinks with them and that kind of thing. They were really cool guys. But yeah, so again, like I said, they're no different than we are. Their business is like we do. But if you look at today's society and the way the future is becoming, there's been a lot of changes in society, big time. That a lot of people like that we cannot a lot of people like that it is illegal now to a lot churches are still sitting behind time because the head ministries of the churches are getting so bad. No matter what denomination they're getting so bad to the point they're getting so racist. They're still staying 50 years behind time where they want to still sit in racist behavior. I personally, this is why I stopped going to church, is because of the racism against people that may look different or may be different or maybe skin color might be different. There is still a racist attitude there in the churches. A lot of people don't see it. It is a big put off. It is a big problem. But you know, like I said, so in generally, because I didn't want to listen to it, I didn't want to be caught in the middle of it all, because like I said, I have pretty close friends. You know, when I grew up, as a kid, they never harmed me or whatever, like that. I've never had no problems with them. I grew up with people are just I've had problems with people being jealous and racist of me because the fact that yes, some of my friends I used to grow up with were of a different culture. Some of them were of the Jamaican or the South African culture. You know, because there's too much white pride, racist bullshit, still trying to come back in. It is wrong, but you know, this is why I say with a lot of people, it's getting worse now because of what you see in the media or what's going on with I can understand with all the tragedies happening in the United States or whatever. It is getting into a very bad level. So that's why I said a lot of that stuff I try to stay away from as much as possible. But you know, it's a society we live around. And again, and like I said, like I had friends that were, you know, that were of the, they were good friends to me too. They never harmed me at all, and that were of the gay and the community and that kind of stuff. And they were always great people. I always loved them. You know, they were always good friends of mine. But the one guy, I was kind of shocked because I heard one lad had died. So again, he had cancer or something. But I think they said he died of cancer. But the other guy, he's still alive and well, and that. But he still does a great job. He still does, I guess he still has the theater business going and that with the costumes, and he does a wonderful job. I haven't seen him for years, though. I don't know if he's still down in the Peterborough area or not. Nobody ever sees him, I guess, anymore. or where he might have went to. But again, like I said, he was a quite cool guy. Um, that's what I said. They started out at kind of going to the same Pentecostal church I went to, and that kind of thing. And so again, no matter if whatever type of background, church, Pentecostal, Baptist, I kind of got out of it all because of the fact that there is too much racism, and too many haters, and that kind of stuff too, and a lot of backbiting and a lot of hypocriticalism, too much. Um, it is enough to drive you right out the door. Um, and it, like I said, it's so bad to the point it is. It is a very, very, very It is a very anti-bad, powerful movement. But but yeah. So again, like I said, my shows are not going to get into again because my shows are called the Timothy Plain shows. We're not going to get in again. We won't get into any heavy politics in that department because I do understand people do have their different views and that kind of stuff. Again, opinions, and that kind of stuff. Um, but there is there is a lot of with theologians. There is even if the theologians look back in history, they've even found that even Christ himself had skeletons in his closet. Um, that he wasn't as big and perfect and almighty as technically a lot of the churches make you think he probably was. Um, when he was in his time or decade. Because like I said, the churches only go by with what they think that might have happened. They don't. They don't really know the real truth. Like it could have happened differently back those days, but again, they're just thinking back, and all they're doing is they're trying to dictate something that they got no evidence on, and that kind of thing, or have any evidence to prove that it even happened, because it may not have happened the way they're saying it happened. It could have happened totally different, and for different type of reasons. Uh, you know, they talk about a good man being persecuted, but back those days, like this generation of churches, nobody really knows. There's no evidence. Nobody knows what Christ actually did to be put there. He could have actually, back those days, he could have did something illegal against their law, his country laws or whatever, and he could have been punished like a regular human being. Um, Again, those persecution laws, they're not like that today, but they were back 100 years ago, back those times. But you don't know. He could have actually, he could have been actually, you know, could have been punished for. Probably wasn't so innocent back those days. So that's why I said it could have happened back those days. Nobody knows what really happened. He could have he could have been a violation of his country laws at that point in time, or whatever. He's probably did something illegal, and the churches sit there and cover it all up and say, "Oh well, the dude was a good guy." But to make us think that that's what type of guy he was. But that's why I said nobody really knows, really for sure, what the man himself was really like. Because none of us was around those times. They're just going by basically they're going by history of false evidence probably that they can't even find. That doesn't even exist today. um, so again, that's why I said again, it is another touchy topic. Um, it is hard to say because a lot of these churches can't really dictate what really happened, because like I said, back those days nobody was there to know what really happened. I mean, it could have happened in a different way. That's why being raised in of that persuasion, I got out of it because I had a disbelief towards it. um So again, like I said, that's. But like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's got all their all little opinions on everything. But that is as close as that I can share my opinion of it. I'm not again. I can't go into any. I'm not going to go into any preaching or anything like that because I don't believe in doing that. I think that is just all a bunch of propaganda. But so hi Josh, how you doing? So again, this is, and like I said before, the real reason why my experience of leaving any church is, like I said, I had two friends of mine that I had grew up with for years, and they were good youth leaders, and right when they allowed the what you call the same sex marriage and that kind of thing. These guys were wonderful guys. They were no harm to me or whatever. They were of the gay community. They were really nice guys, but because they were our youth leaders, or they came to church every Sunday. The church had a problem with it and persecuted them for it, and told them they were no longer welcome at church, and that because they were a violation. If the church is that's what I said. The way the generations are getting today, like I said, if they keep that kind of persecution up. Today, there is Human Rights Protection Act that will arrest the head of the church. They can actually have the head of the ministry of the church actually legally arrested for hate crimes or discrimination crimes, no matter what church it is. But back those days in the night, like the 80s and the 90s, it wasn't fully through yet. So, like I said, the laws, the Pride Day laws and all that protection and all that. The legal gay rights was not fully legal yet. Didn't come legal yet till the mid 2000s. So again, growing up in the 80s and 90s, that back those days, it was terrible. It was a kind of thing you had to keep in the closet. Because again, it was really, really, really bad. But today, nobody can actually persecute it. No agency, no church can actually turn around, or no Christian person can turn around and discriminate them kind of people, because it is illegal now, because there is a Human Rights Act that will protect them. There is Human Rights Act lawyers that will actually handcuff the head of the agency or the head of the church, and actually can legally have them hauled off. For what they call gay bashing and discrimination. So that's what I said. Like I said, I grew up with people that chose to live their life that way. They were wonderful people. They were wonderful friends of mine. I was shocked because I heard my one friend there. The one guy had passed away. I guess he had cancer and that kind of thing. And like I said, I remember when I became of age when I was 19. They were no harm to me or whatever, but they were nice enough. I remember going into their community bar, gay bar. Really nice inside, guys. Again, it was an old building they leased for their community. Really nice on the inside. It was really, really nice, pretty on the inside. I have to grant. They had all the bar licenses like we would today, like everybody else would. But like, oh, I dropped my thingy. But it was really nice in there. Like the one place I remember I was about 19 when I first went in there. Got invited in there right when I turned 19. These guys invited me in for my 19th birthday, and it was a really nice bar and hotel. It was called the Gargoyle. It's in Peterborough, Ontario. I was one of them, a bar and hotel. It's called Gargoyle. Really nice building, bar and hotel. It is a Pride bar and hotel, and and then there's another one that they have. They have about 2 or 3 of them down there. I forget the name of the third one, but which is down in Peterborough area, is on the Schmong Road highway, and then there is another one that is just in the heart of the downtown area by the city bus terminal. Where I grew up, is called the Purple Rooster. Really nice place in there. Everybody was so nice in there. It's really nice in there and that kind of thing. Again, the building's not really appetizing from the outside, but the inside was really, really nice. And they used to host dances and everything else like that after their parades and that kind of stuff too. So they used to run cool festivals and that kind of stuff. But but yeah, so I just wanted to share my experience. This is why I stopped going to church, because I had very close friends. Like I said, even before the liberals passed the legislation, the liberals and that up in Ottawa passed the pride rights and gay rights, and that kind of thing. And I had close, good friends of mine that live in those communities. And like I said, I went to high school with a couple boys that I was in school with that over the years have gone through transgender medical changes, and surgically and medically, I had left the churches because the fact that I had very good friends that I used to hang out with, that were good friends to me for years, and the church was getting a little on the racist side, and I was getting very hurt by that, because they were very good close friends of mine, and the fact that found out if they were not welcome there, then I said sorry. Then technically I should not be welcome. Especially when they were getting to the racist point, especially because one time I walked into a Baptist church, and when we were kids, and with also too with somebody who was South African nationality or Jamaican nationality, they deliberately had a very hate stare look at evil, what you call look in their eyeballs against them, racist look, and there was a lot of racism. And that's why I said it hurt me too much, to the point that I gave up the church shit. I just got so fed up with it. I couldn't handle it anymore. Or being in any church that was going to be like that. And they, like I said, they were always good friends of mine. They didn't, like I said, they did no harm from, no, even though they were different, they did no harm to me, and that kind of thing. But again, it was that generation too. Nowadays, nowadays, if a church, you see a church act like that today, you can have them charged. Back those days, you couldn't. Back in the 80s and 90s, because back those days there was no protection laws. It probably was, but not as strong as it would be today. So so again, that I don't mind sharing with you, and that kind of thing. But like I said, I can share that, but I cannot. That I'm allowed to share that, but I'm not allowed to mention their names. All I can allow to do is share the experience of the hurt end of it, because they were good friends of mine. But I can't put any. I'm not allowed to mention any names of any involvement, because the fact that the churches have done a lot of harm to me growing up as a kid. So that's why I got out of the church persuasion end of it. I didn't stick with anything religious. I think personally, if it goes downhill, it's going downhill. It has its reasons why it's going downhill. But it is. My opinion is that, like I said, I was a kid at the time, and walking into Sunday school with some people that were totally different, or looked different, or their skin color was different. It was kind of the way I seen it was, excuse me, if again the Dr. Pepper's acting up, if they're gonna hurt them, then and generally they were hurting me, so big time. So like I said, it was you got the shutout treatment big time. So again, like I said, that's so again, this is why I do not involve ever. I was, again, like, I was raised Protestant, and that, but I have got friends. Like I said, I do have friends. I'm married to a Catholic. I'm Protestant. There is, when I first got married, for me being a Protestant, yes, the Catholic Church tried stopping the marriage, but they were told by city officials they couldn't, because nowadays it is all legal, that it doesn't matter which background you're raised or whatever, they cannot discriminate, and that's in any which way or form. they had to so again, like I said, so we went to what was it? We went to a minister I knew that was a Protestant minister that actually married us. And he was actually the project. He was actually at the time he was a project. I was about 26, and I knew him from when I was a member of the Peterborough Branch 52 Legion, and he was a really nice guy, minister, and he was also the padre. So again, like I said, he married us in our apartment and that kind of thing because we didn't have enough to fill a guest list to have a reception or to get the hall. Funny thing is, I offered him money for pay his services to marry us. He wouldn't take it. Again, but so again, I gave him a $200 donation to his church, and that's all I did. He said that was more appreciated than anything. He was not going to put no service charge on his services, like most ministers legally can actually can. So again, I was about 26 at the time, and we got married in our own home. This was when my mom was still alive before she passed on. But again, she went 2017. But this way back in 2006, I was about 26. So yeah, I'd say about. So we've made 12 years so far. My wife and I, and we're almost 13 years coming up this April. So 13 years, guys, that is a long, lucky number. 13 years. 13 is a very unlucky number. So again, like that's so again, we're almost made kind of 13. So again, like I said, once. I made arrangements. Like I said, I made some arrangements to have my files actually sent up here to Wiarton from Peterborough from the Legion down Branch 52, and with the president here of the Legion. And once they come up, I'm going to go in and renew my membership. Definitely, I'm gonna. The reason why he's going to get them, normally I have to go get them, but the reason why he said he's going to go down and get them is because down there they want to charge me $250 or $250 to transfer my files up. But because I was a member before, even he said they're stoofing you, because again, they can't charge you money to transfer your files. They have to transfer them for free. Like if I was to call down there, first thing they're gonna say in the office down there, they're gonna ask me for $200 in a check form down there just to send my files up. So he said he was a great guy. He says no, don't worry. He said I'll go get them. That he said that's not an issue. I'll go get them. I'll have them brought up for you. I'll write and fax down and get them faxed up, or I'll go down and pick them up myself if I have to. That's what he told me. So again, he said he'll call. Again, he told me he's gonna call me when he gets them, and then then I just have to go in, fill out some transfer forms. Just I guess it is. He said something about the all the transfer forms is to confirm that he got the transfer. That has come in, and that kind of stuff, and do some that kind of little paperwork or whatever, and then I just have to pay my membership up. He said he's not sure yet if there might be another re-enrollment. He's not sure. He's gonna check, but usually if because of the fact that I was already enrolled into a Legent, he said I may not have to go through that, but he's gonna check anyways to see if. He said even if I do that, he said it might be just kind of a quick thing, that kind of thing. So that way it's getting those paperwork up here, and so he's gonna deal with Denise down in Peterborough, because she wanted the office manager of the Peterborough branch. Because she's always a nice lady, but she was the one that wanted. Like I said, it's Branch 52 in Peterborough. They're crazy. she was the one that asked me before I moved out here. I was gonna have them transferred before I moved up, pay up my membership and have everything transferred out before I moved out here. She said, "Oh no, I'd had to pay $250 on top of my membership." So I said, "Well, I'm moving anyway." So I said, "There's no point in me paying my membership because I'm moving, I'm moving up to Wyerton." So again, I said, I'll wait a bit and reconnect with you from the other end. Because again, I would have had to pay $100 or $200 for them to transfer the files up. If I went NAST, so that's why I'm glad here the Legion's going to handle that. They said they'll go get it, so that way, like they told me, like my wife, they told my wife, they said no, he doesn't have to pay for that. They're just trying to get money out of you, extra money out of you. But like I said, that's a bit of sense humor, a bit of comical there. But again, that is, like I said, I can't go into too much detail. But again, like I said, so I once those get up here, then if I hear back from them about that, and or probably wait a couple weeks, or probably a couple weeks or a couple months. It depends on how long it takes them for them to receive it, and then I'm probably gonna probably give the office a call or whatever and see how it if it's come through yet or not. If it's come through, then there's preparations that I will have to go and do. But that is okay with getting that all restarted up. So, and getting all that renewed, and that as well. So right now it's cool because I'm sitting on kind of one of those limbo, what do you call, one of those sitting in limbo. So again, Wednesday morning. Oh, my hair's sticking up. So again, coming this Wednesday morning, it is Halloween. Like I said, again, we're getting on to a different topic now. It is Halloween, so again, like I said, so Wednesday, because I work 1 day a week at the dentist office, apparently Halloween is falling on my shift, on my 1 day a week job shift, so that is okay. So I guess there's going to be a bit of a a bit of a photo opportunity, because they told us we can dress up for Halloween. We can go to work dressed up for Halloween in that way, and because they want to get a group photo of us, so that'd be kind of cool. So I got my costume all prepared. It is also more than a costume too. It is also a fan club that people do belong to. So again, it is another fan club. So again, like I said, again, there's no chapter team to it here. I don't know. I have not seen any, but I know there is a team. There is a comic book convention team chapter in Owen Sound, Ghostbuster chapter in Owen Sound, and then there is Collingwood, and then there's Toronto, Ontario. There's Kitchener Waterloo district. I guess I'm basically the only fool that's interested. But for this area, but that is okay. And so this is why my Ghostbuster outfit I only put on for Halloween. Right now, I would be like all the other chapters if we had a full chapter here and we had enough people interested in that kind of thing, and we had a full team here in Wyerton. It would be kind of cool to see, and then that way my suit can go on all the time. But again, it is basically my actual Ghostbuster outfit, a comic book convention outfit, only comes out once a year. Now, if I was able to afford to go to Comic Cons, then I'll be wearing it to every Comic Con going. or if I had my driver's license to get to the Comic Cons or be able to afford to get into a Comic Con to go because I've never been to a Comic Con in my life. But sometimes I love to go down to them, dress up and go down to them. But like I said, they're very expensive. See, I don't drive, so again, I don't have a driver's license. So, like I said, if I had my driver's license, guys, I'd actually make an effort to actually make sure I save money to go to those things, and go around to join those different Comic Con groups, and wear my Ghostbuster outfit down to them. And if I actually had a car, you would actually see me doll it up like the Ecto-1, with the flashing lights, everything. With the decals on the side. Probably get an Ecto-1 RV, actual RV van, one of those camper trailer vans. I'd probably get the licenses for it, and mechanic up to be the Ecto-1, but in an RV trailer. A lot of the Facebookers, if you look at a lot of the Facebookers on here that are with Keystone Ghostbusters in the States, and the Toronto chapter here in Ontario's out in the Calgary chapter, and they've got all their different vehicles. They've got everything from Ford pickup trucks to airplanes in the air. Again, they got the helicopter thing going. They've bought up old fire trucks from the old fire departments, and they've actually, with the flashers already on it, sirens already in it, they've repaired them. They've bought like the old fire trucks. They painted them up and they put the Ghostbuster decals on them, and they're driving them around their communities and that kind of thing. And they build their own proton packs, everything. Electronically, they put it all together. They program all their own stuff. Really cool. Some of the work that these guys do, how they actually connect it all up, it is really neat to see how they do it. Some of these guys are actually, a lot of these guys is your everyday community people like myself. Some of them are just volunteers, or probably were volunteers with different agencies. How close do you know your Rotarians? Again, that is a joke, by the way. But some of those Rotarians are involved in these Ghostbuster chapters. That they're walking around with Ghostbuster suits on, and the proton packs, and they're driving. Some of them are driving around with pickup trucks that is painted up with the Ecto-1 on them. Again, they bought the old police cars, old police cruisers. They paint them up, install Ghostbuster flashers on them. Everything else, decal them. Again, they're starting to do them in different colors. They're getting away a lot more so from the white color. Traditionally, it's always been, I remember growing up, the Ecto-1 was always like a white, yellow, and kind of bluish color around the Sirens area. If you guys remember the traditional Ecto-1 in the Ghostbusters. But again, today, guys, you guys go check out a lot of the Comic Coners like Keystone Ghostbusters. You link to you guys check out one Facebook page of the Keystone Ghostbusters. The other pages are following behind, and they'll send you links and asking you to like their page, and you'll see all the different fancy Ecto-1s. You'd be amazed at different colors. They're like Christmas trees. There's a purple Ecto-1. There's a pink one. Some of the chapters have pink. One of the chapters have an actual pink Ecto-1. A couple of pink Ecto-1s. They got purple. They got red. They got blue. They got orange. They got glow in the dark green, black, white, red, different rainbow hippie colors. So again, it is quite interesting. So again, there's everything from the hippie vans, from the 1960 hippie vans, peace vans, buses. They've now, since Greyhound, I guess I heard, doesn't exist anymore. For some new coach line or whatever, a lot of the Ghostbuster chapters are buying up the old Greyhound buses, and they're converting them into the Ecto-1s in a bus form. so that way it is. So they're keeping the bus style going, but again, they paint it up to look like the Ecto One and put the flashers on it for the chapter to bus people in their chapter around that is don't drive, but that are Ghostbuster fans are dressing up and they belong to their chapter and they're dressed up in the Ghostbuster suits and everything else like that. And when they go to their parades and that kind of stuff, and they do a lot of children's charities. They have a licensed raffle draws. They do. They do a lot of Comic-Con door prizes, and they're big for going around doing the big Comic-Con, guys, the comic book conventions, and that kind of thing. That'd be cool if Wiarton ever got the idea to host a comic book convention, because a lot of those guys are really cool to connect with. The closest one would be probably Collingwood in Toronto, or Barrie around there, but there is professional comic book convention guys that actually will put those on, that put those shows on and that kind of thing, and they bring all the old everything from the Batmobile in to the Ghostbuster car, the Dukes of Hazzard cars, Noah Hathaway from 19. I was still watching it in 1994. I even still watch it today. Some of the Noah Hathaway's comic book. He's known for his comic book movie, The Neverending Story, 1984. He has done Comic-Con in several places to do with Neverending Story, Warner Brothers Neverending Story Comic-Con. Again, he's had a lot of it in his biography where he showed the old making of the movie and that kind of thing, the work behind it, and that kind of thing, how it was put together, explained how it was directed, and that was also the year he was doing Sushi Girl. It was another movie he just recently done. It was more of it was a different kind of movie because he did a movie with Tony Todd. He's really cool actor. If anybody's familiar with Tony Todd, he does anybody ever seen the movie Candyman? He played Candyman. He played in Final. Ooh, I'm spitting on my phone. He played in Final Destination movies. It means he played the Morticianist. The Undertaker. That you would call him the guy that actually does all the events, the funeral home dude, that kind of thing in the movie. The spooky dude with a spooky funeral voice. Tony Todd. He was also, I think he was also one of the actors behind Neverending Story as well. That was at the Empire, what you call it, the Ivory Tower, where the childlike Empress Moonchild was supposedly sick. It was supposed to be ill or sick or lived, according to the story. And that the little lady friend at Atreyu had to go save his little girlfriend. So that he probably had the hots for. I'm not supposed to say that. He may get offended. No, how do I make get offended? She's cute though. I have to grant. What was her name? Played that role. Tammy. I can't remember her last name. She's a really good actress. They were all kids together or whatever. I was only 4 years of age when that movie came out, but I was drawn to that movie too as a kid. I wonder why I was drawn to that movie. There was a lot. It was a good movie. I have to grant that. Even by watching it, I bought a copy from Walmart. I got it on Blu-ray. I grew up with it. I think the Southern Oracle. In my opinion, I love the Southern Oracle. Basically, I honestly, to get us, what shocked me with the Southern Oracle theme was the part where he's going to the Southern Oracle and the little statue eyeballs are supposed to zot electricity through the person and kill them. Kill the knight. He got through. Atreyu got through it. But again, it was. I have to say, for a child seeing that, I think there was things in that scene that children weren't supposed to say. I think it was the chest part of the statues. If anybody's ever noticed them.
On him?
No.
You don't want them all.
Okay, I got them. Well, this is my little Treyu. This wasn't the Treyu I was talking about. I was talking about Mr. Hathaway in one of his movie. It was a cool movie. I back to the chest part of these Nurgle statues that basically got our attention of all us guys. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that movie. If you actually really look at the movie, guys, there's hitting objects in that movie. But for a movie, I have to go. It was a good movie. It was combined, I guess, according to the documentary, that was like based on Christianity, the occult, Freemasonism all together, One World New Order. But again, basically with us young kids, there was things in that movie we weren't supposed to. They were shocked themselves. Probably the directors were shocked that I even got in there, in some of the props and how they were built. But especially when the statue's chest started falling apart, you can actually see that. You'd be surprised what a tree would his name when he walked up to Southern Oregon. All he was saying was these wooden what do you call it? I'm not jumbled tits or boobs or whatever in the movie. That's what I said. Those are parts of the movie that kind of got in there. Again, like I said, again, I'm not trying to be by being a sick guy here, but I mean, if you really watch the movie, guys, it was comical. I still laugh at that movie, but I was a little kid when I started watching that movie, and basically a lot of us little kids, there was things in that movie. I guess it was like any other, even though it was being a kids fantasy movie, but again, I guess there's some things that kind of the directors probably when they were filming, there's things that the cameras picked up, and some of the props that was inappropriate for the movie or for children to be seeing. As a kid, but I have to admit, I did not say it was a bad movie. I sit back today. I'm older. I can watch the movie. But when I was a little kid, I mean, as my friends were quick enough to notice that. I had a German friend. Oh my lord! Anybody have a Nazi German friend? I tell you, his family came over from Austria, Germany, and we were all kids together growing up, and the family, and I grew up with a kid and him and his sister, and a lot of the things, and then we went to Army Cadets together when we were teenagers, but when we were growing up as kids. We were sitting down watching the movie together, and the first thing he noticed, I was not smart. I didn't care. I was more into the Neverending Story movie because I was like, hey, cool, a Disney movie. We didn't know the actors by name at the time. We weren't really tuned in. We didn't recognize the credits or the actors by name on the credits. Once the credits rolled up, we didn't care about the credits because we couldn't read anyways. To us, we thought Noah Hathaway's real name was Atreyu. That's all we thought because again, like I said, back that generation, we were kids, we were fan of the movies, still a fan of the movies today growing up. But we used to have the big long, back in the 80s, we used to have the big long Atreyu Neverending Story hairdo, long hair like him. Again, we would never ever shave it off because it was an insult because we loved that movie and the actor, and we used to have the long hair as kids growing up in the 80s and the 90s when that first come out. It was a big fad. But like I said, it was a good movie, but there's just, and I can probably see why now they didn't allow a remake. But again, they did a TV series. Did it in a TV series where they did it like kind of differently, so they cut those kind of parts out. But again, if you really look in the movie, guys, you actually see what I'm talking about. It is funny. When we were kids, and I remember. Again, growing up as a kid, my mom used to come in and walk in and watching this movie, and this is a kid's movie, and the first thing she says, "Oh, ain't you kind of young to be watching a porno?" I said, "Oh, I said it's not a porno. I said this is a Disney movie." And she's like, "Bull crap! It's a Disney movie." She says, "Look at those humongous things on the statues." I said, "It's a never-ending story. It's a kid's movie." Like I said, those are the good times I kind of remember about my mom growing up as a kid. Some of the things she and it was and she looked at the cage, she looked at the movie and everything. So she said, well, she looked at she said rated G or whatever. She says never ending story. She said, hey, damn well, she said it is a Warner's Brother Disney movie. Um, but again she had no choice. She let me watch it. She was gonna stop me from watching it. But my German friend now he speaks up and oh man, a mouth on him. You can tell he was 100% a Nazi kid. He had 100 mouth on him. Had a mouth on him. But he said he said you know what he used to tell my mom off all the time. He's like, come on. He said we're watching. We were only kids together. He's like this these are our movies. Go take a hike. He used to call my mom every name in the book. He used to call my mom a bitch. I was like to her face. I mean, but I mean, like we were just little kids though at that time. But yeah, I just noticed like when I was a kid, we weren't noticing that though. I personally was not noticing that when I was a kid of those parts and of that movie. But my German friend kid, oh, he knew right off the bat. He was getting a lot of a kick out of it. Um, but he just smirking, keeping quiet, because we're sitting there growing up. We're watching the Neverending Story. Well, we used to watch it in a sequel, before the '90s, before Part 2 come out and 3. It was just the one, and we had it on VHS, and we didn't have DVD back then or Blu-ray. We just had strictly VCR VHS, and we're sitting there, we're watching it, and he noticed every little. It's funny. He noticed every little image in the movie. Every little image that got into the movie. That was what every character was imaging. I think he had a dirty mind. I thought he just had a dirty mind, but no, he actually knew the actual images, and what he actually knew the actual image of it all. What it was actually imaging from everything from Mola the Ancient One. I mean, he had a total dirty mouth. He sounded you right out. But no, but again, we were kids though. But I didn't notice that. But he was quick to pick up on it. He was my friend there. He was a German friend. He was very, 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 very quick to pick up on that. But he was too busy laughing though. He was getting a kick out of it all. He was sitting back there smirking, laughing, having a heyday. He was blushing, turning red. Um, but it's and then besides him having a big mouth, and at the time my mom had a big mouth. Um, but yeah, so again, those are just again those when I was a kid. Again, that was so comical. But again, it was a good movie though. Like I said, I always didn't care what the little icons or whatever you call the icons or the background props are imaging, what you actually see in there for a kids movie. They shouldn't really got in there. Um, but again, I always thought it was a good movie. But again, it was we got our. The funny thing is, it was, and then I wonder why it is such a addicting movie that people can never get sick of watching it. I even today, I'm an outgrowing adult. I can't even get sick of watching it because most movies, if after a while, watch them so many times, you get so sick of watching it. But the Neverending Story, now I see why it's so attractive. Part 2, and I can see why the first one, 1984, was more attractive than the 1990s versions or the newer versions. Are not as attractive. The main 1984 one was more attractive than anything. That was got most of our kids' attention. Growing up with it. It is, especially the Southern Oracle themes when the statue's falling apart. There was a lot. It was a cool movie, though. And I always enjoyed it growing up as a kid. I didn't know that the name Bastion that they mentioned in the documentary. If you guys tune into ODTV, They explain every little imaging what an image is. There's a couple episodes that talk specifically on the Neverending Story itself, or the top 10 secrets of. There's a lot of videos out of it, of documentaries, the top 10 secrets of it that you do not know about the Neverending Story, that you did not know, we didn't even know, or top 10 secrets. And that. So again, we'll get back to this topic after a while, and if Josh is on his camera, we'll bring him in, and we'll continue this topic after. But it was quite interesting. So again, to finish up this topic before I go on, and so again, basically, it is if you tune into ODTV, it is a biography on how these different movies are put together and what the props are really imaging, or shouldn't have imaged, but to have imaged in it. It is why it is so attractive today for a kids movie. They shouldn't have been so attractive. That particular one was so attractive when we were kids. So again, we'll get back to that topic at afterwards, and we'll hold that thought in my mind, and we'll bring Josh on if he's still on. So we're just in the process of connecting. I think I'm connecting. No, not connecting. But yeah, so again, I'm gonna go grab a Dr. Pepper. I'll be right back. But yeah, that was so interesting. That's probably why when I was a kid, it always drew my attention. It was a good movie. I could sit back and watch it over and over again. Um, but it was. Also, too, another thing that a lot of people do not have never for the directing end of it, the directors, Wolfgang and them were all the reason how the and now my grandfather explained this to me when I was a little kid, and I never understood it. My grandfather, when he was a World War II veteran, and he was also World War One, survived World War One, World War Two. Lucky bastard. But he leastly, when I was 10, he died of a heart attack in his own comfortable of his own bed. But when he was alive, back those years when 1984 film was actually released. Now he shared a little bit of experience behind set on that one, because he was Mr. Money Pants in the family back then. He used to travel with Wolfgang and all those guys that were all did the Sydney, and all those guys that did the Neverending Story production casting, and traveled with them and started in Calgary, Alberta, and went to Germany and that kind of stuff. The Freemasons had a lot of big involvement in it with the UK film. It was the UK filming production one of the filming production companies in the UK, England, was actually behind the project of. If you noticed if you go on YouTube and you look up at the tribute to Noah Hathaway and that kind of stuff, and in some of his videos, you'll see the video camera people. My grandfather, for some reason, didn't get in. It was funny because my grandfather didn't get into that video because he was there on set, but he was probably off doing something else. He remember telling me this, and but again, he was one of the guys that helped out on the camera set and that kind of thing, with all the what you call electronical toys and that you want to call it, the setup of it. But again, he was in the prop department, and how the Freemasons end up having a role in it, or being a project being owned by the Freemasons. Apparently, he was telling me that the Freemasons own the movie industry. They own everything. Those guys are so rich and powerful. They own everything around worldwide today. Even back those days, they did. They've got big time, hands in the pie, big time hands in the cookie jar, so you know, those guys, there's not a thing that goes on in this world that those guys are never involved in, or do not have any paid money into. Same with the Orangemen. Again, the Royal Mason societies. Now, when I 2000 from 2000 2003, I was an Orangeman myself, but again, I left on sick leave. Leave of absence, but I didn't stay with it because the lodge that I was in started taking people that had they were giving people a chance that as long as they were of the Protestant persuasion, they were taking people on people with disabilities under their wing and that kind of stuff. The older guys, because they're seniors, and they were helping them and that kind of thing, and help them get them established. Or over time, like again, if I had stayed in it, I would not have never known Fran, and I would have had a better job. You know, I would have actually had you know, I would have earned better job, but you know, I would have been financially set, and for life and that kind of stuff as well. I would have had a good career and that kind of thing. In anything, like in trades and that kind of would have been gone off into a trade or whatever. But because a lot of those guys, they have like roofing businesses and that kind of stuff. But no, I didn't stay with it. I left it because of because of stress related and that kind of stuff as well. But I wasn't working at the time that I was in it, so I didn't have a job. But they were opening their doors, allowing, because they were really strapped for membership. They were letting there was a couple of men that were taking the guys on disability, guys that had disabilities under their wing. They had a couple. There was an elderly gentleman that recently passed away 2 years ago. I think 2 or 3 years ago now, I heard. Really nice guy. And he had Parkinson's. So they were slowly integrating them into the Freemason community, trying to better everybody. But yeah, so that's what I said. No, I didn't stay with it. Again, that was all bad timing too, because that was about 2003 when I first went out on my own. I was 23. I left home and that kind of stuff as well. Screwed up opportunities after opportunities that I could have had, and that kind of stuff. And I kind of regret that, but you know. But again, like I said, some doors close, other doors are open. Again, I ended up going further downhill and uphill. Technically, I fell off the ladder, but yeah. So again, say that's what I said. So that was quite interesting. A bit of a history, even about my grandfather and some of the stuff he was used to, projects he used to do. Plus, he also was on top of that. He was a Shiner, and he used to work the Shiner Circus as well. There's another secret society, guys, I will not talk about, that he was involved in. That he used to sneak on down through the states into Tennessee. We will not talk about those. We're not going to talk about that secret society, because you all know what I'm talking about with that secret society. And that. So again, like I said, he is that guy. He's been around the world. But like I said, there is that's what kind of shocked me though. But I said again, back with the Neverending Story movie. That was a good movie, by the way, guys. No, I didn't care what it imaged. Well, when I was a kid, I did not see that as a kid. I would not never notice that as a kid. Some kids don't pick up on that. When I was a kid, I was too busy watching. I was more into the movie. I think my eyes was more. I'm sorry, my eyes was more glued. Yes, I am. I always liked the guy that Noah Hathaway that played Atreyu, but I think my eyes was more glued to the childlike empress than anything. As a kid, I had my eyes on her big time in that movie. as a kid, we were just kids. Like I said, it was a movie because it explains why I would pop it on all the time, and that kind of thing. But we were kids. It was 1984. I was only 4 years of age. I mean, I was getting a kick out of it, especially with the dragon flying across the screen and that kind of stuff. But it is again today. I sit there. I can sit down and I can watch the movie now, and I have a bigger. It's funny because I can watch the movie now, and I'm starting to see things in the movie that I did not notice when I was a kid. That my friend noticed, and now I'm starting to notice some of the scenes in the movies or some of the props. I'm like watching now. I'm old. I'm like, oh my god! And I said, actually, kids are watching this today. But it is a kids movie. But I mean, it is. And then I see now what my German friend guy was laughing at. Because he was my when we were kids, he clued in big time. That's what I said. But other than that, again, like I said, I said it was a cool movie. But I love the effects of it. And how for a year that didn't have the proper computer technology, and how they were able to do I guess how they actually had to actually make their own special effects. How they kind of all got that kind of together. How they had to do everything by hand. Well, everything nowadays is all digital. Like even if they were today, if they were to go back to redo that, if Noah Hathaway today was going to go back and redo that, have that movie redone again, or authorized to have that movie redone again today, I think the special effects would be different today than it was then. I think that the effects of it all would all be different. It'll all be digital. So to be like the new Pete's Dragon that came out, that technically the actors are acting that the dragon is there, but not really there. That is, it is just a computer graphic software added. So when after the movie's made, then you actually see it come across the movie screen. But when the actors are actually acting it out, or acting the scenes out, that effect is really not there. They're just told to act that it's there, that they see it, but really there's nothing there. But when the movie's actually made and put together, it is surprise, computer graphics. Up pops out of the screen, flying across the screen is your computer image of a dragon, or of a pony, unicorn, whatever. So again, it is technically, yeah, you're on stage, but you're talking to yourself. So you're talking to a computer image that is digitally computer image, or whatever, or to mimic or act a scream, to act that you see a villain there that's really not there to begin with. Then when after the movie's digitally done, it is a screen overwrite, and it is a computer, a data based software that actually adds in the effects later. So as the movie is actually put together and I guess is published, then that character is computerized, and so it looks like the thing is coming after you, when the actors are just acting that it's there, but it's really to begin with there's nothing there. It is all computerized, digitalized by a computer. Same when they did it was neat because when I remember back in the 1980s now, again, growing up when the original Ghostbusters come out again, the old film, to get the ghost imaging, they must have had to do some type of, again, without internet, they must have had to kind of create some type of same with the streams, with the from the proton packs, or some type of create some type of effect. Because the computer effects back those days were not as strong as they would be today, as some of the remakes were today. That they can actually digitalize everything through the computer. Um, they must have had to kind of create up their own, rig up their own software or whatever, find a way to create those effects. Especially now, if you go back to when I was growing up, also to as a child, ET. They gave that secret away. I was shocked because we're watching YouTube, and the effect actually, the idea of the bikes flying across the moon, guys, was actually they were saying was an idea that came from China, came from Japan, and it was an actual cable sport. I guess they were saying in the biography the directors made a trip to China, to Japan, and they went and seen this. I guess they came across this bicycle flying sport across cable wires, and where the Chinese and the Japanese had these bikes tied up with cable chains and wires, gliding wires across the wires, that they were actually pedaling them across these wires, so it looked like it was. Gliding across the sunlight in the sky, that kind of thing, and it was in the bicycle sport that goes on in China and Japan, and I guess the directors of ET Steven Spielberg picked it up and got an idea from it, and then went back and rigged up a crane and put up an overhead wires and attached the wires to attached the wiring to the bike, and actually had connected car cables to the bike. Because back those days, they didn't have the internet technology like we have today to digitalize it, because they could have digitalized it. Now, if it was a movie that they were going to redo today, they could actually digitalize it. So again, the bike could be driving across the ground, and to get the lift off the ground, they could actually take a digital webcam and videotape it going across the ground and manipulate that image, and create a background software, moon software, with the digital, so make it looks like the bike is lifting up off the ground, and computerize it all, so that way. That way it looks like it flew up in the sky, but it never left the ground to begin with. Now, back those days, the bikes did. What they did was when they did the outside scenes, and I guess they according to the biography, they actually took the cable wiring, and they put together some type of remote control, a motor that they put underneath the basket under ET, or the rubber ET doll, and that was connected to the cable wires, and so when the crane turned on, and the crane, you didn't see it because they hit it, but they had it connected to the overhanger gliding wires, and they connected it to the wheels, and so when they lifted it up into the sky, so it looks like it's going across the air over the top of the police cars, and then they had what you brought in, one of those, set up one of those night, so it crosses the daylight, and then it goes across another screen. So the other screen, they had according to the biography, they had one of those big projector screens, where they actually created the own effect, where they had it like a VH video of just a clear night sky with stars with the moon, and then the crane was behind that screen, and they would actually fly the bikes right across the night right across the night screen, and so that way it is, so they kind of focused the camera into one area, so to make it look realistic, real, that it was flying, and then it back down on the ground, and where before they landed it on the ground, they disconnected the wires, so that when they safely crane dropped it, at the same time they disconnected the wire. They actually disattached the wires from the other end. So it was kind of interesting. A lot of the biographies I've watched on how they made that, how the behind the scenes, I thought it was kind of neat. Where they got their ideas from, but today, they can get away. They can get around. They can get through the wireless end of it and make it a lot of movies now today, they can make it more look real. So that way they don't have to use the wire, or they don't have to use the wire in big screens anymore. That they can actually just do it all digitally by internet, by different softwares, with actual computer internet related effects. So that was kind of cool, to see how. Now I'm kind of learning how their little magic tricks work, or how they actually manipulate you into thinking it. How they do those little tricks, those little movie scenes. But when we were kids, when I was growing up as a kid, you never knew stuff like that on how they put that kind of stuff together. Or Universal Studios had a way of putting it all together. It was kind of shocking. They were saying, I guess the work back those days would have been more complicated, for them to put it together than it would be today. That's why today it's so much cheaper for them to make movies nowadays, because they have the digital computer accessibility and programs that they can buy special effects softwares that creates the special effects, so they don't have to use any wires, they don't have to lift anybody up off the ground. Same with the Superman movies today. If they were to still carry them on or whatever, they with the newer digital effects and with the internet, they can actually rig that up no problem, without any cranes or wiring or cable wires. Again, back in the day when Christopher Reeve was the very first Superman, again they had to create their own special effects. So they had him in a harness and they had him on a crane that flew him across the stage. And I guess according to history back those days, back in the 90s, at one point in the 90s, he fell off that crane or whatever and he paralyzed himself. Something I heard, anyways, over the years, he lived most of his life in a wheelchair and then he passed on. But so again, like I said, but because he's old school movie actor, he was also good to it. He was old school. He was too old school. Where he was brave enough to take allow them to connect him to cable wires and to a crane to fly him across the stage. Or technically was willing to, at that time too, to risk his own life and making a movie for his job. But he loved doing it. They were saying in his biographies he's always loved doing that. But again, that's why he earned the title of being on his life of being a stunt actor. On top of that, because there's a lot of actors that will hire their own stunt actors, because a lot of actors won't do the stunts themselves. In a lot of movies, if you look at Harrison Ford movies, you notice there's a camera switch. Same with Indiana Jones. He actually hired a stunt actor to do his stunts for him. He didn't do the stunts himself. They actually hired a double lookalike for him to do the stunts. Again, they brought in. They dressed another guy up to look like him, another actor, which is an actual stunt actor. Same with the one with Noah Hathaway, the Neverending Story. Even in the biography, there was two boys. Again, the movie was played by two boys. Bastian was actually the third, but for the character of Atreyu, there was actually two boys. There was Noah Hathaway, and there was another. There was we thought it was a boy. This is where they fooled you. We thought it was a boy, because they said it was played by Atreyu was supposed to be originally played by two boys, Oliver Platt. I can't pronounce the last name. Was supposed to be, those two boys were supposed to play Atreyu. They fooled you. They fooled you. The actual stunt actor was Cody Brandon. I think that is her. Is that her real name? Maybe that was just again. I forget what her real name is. A stage name, but the girl that played in the actress that played in Bates Motel, she played She played the stunt actress of Atreyu in the Neverending Story. Um, she was his basically she was his second was the third. Supposedly we thought was a boy. But they fooled you. We thought it was gonna be was a boy that played both parts. There was Bastian, and then there was Noah Hathaway, and then there was this other actress that they put in there. And we always thought it was a boy. It was a girl that played the role, did the stunts, end of it. Because according to the biography, I guess Noah Hathaway fell off when during the filming of the horse across the desert prairies or whatever, he fell off the horse and pulled his back out at 12 years of age doing the movie. So again, they had to switch the camera and put a fill in and something. Then they put him. I guess she finished it off. But his name stayed on the credits. So again, it was played by two boys and a girl, one girl. So we didn't know that, but we always thought it was a quick illusion. We always thought it was we just thought it was two boys. At first, I always thought it was one boy. Again, because like I said, when I was a kid, I thought Noah Hathaway's real name was Atreyu, but that was just his character. But like it's quite interesting because you watch the biographies, they show you and they tell you a lot. A lot of people don't like. A lot of people are not into the documentaries, but the documentaries, the special features of it all, it explains all the behind the scenes making and all the little tricks they pulled. She also played in another older movie, Lights Out in Georgia, something like that. Or When the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Yeah, it was a western, some kind of a western where she played a miner that was a street miner, and she would actually hustle all these guys for rides, and they buy her beer in the bar. She used to, according to the movie or whatever, she was one of those street runaway kids, and she would actually run from town to town or whatever. It was that movie I've never seen on DVD or Blu-ray, but I watched it on YouTube a couple times. It's a really good old movie. But I was surprised because I did not know that there was actually what you call a third party involved in that movie. I thought it was Noah Hathaway. When I was a kid, I always thought it was Noah Hathaway all the way through it. But no, there is on top of the bullies, there was when it came down to the Atreyu's role, they had a again, a bit of sense of humor coming out. I think they had a bit of a threesome going, or something like that with the actor-wise with the movie, because there was the two boys, and then there was all of a sudden there was this girl that we thought was a boy, but that's where Hollywood likes to trick you, because they make you think that is the same actor all the way through. Sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes the character stays the same, but the actor, they change, like to change the actors around. Again, sometimes in Noah Hathaway's, I guess, case, he was growing. I was just watching his biography. I thought it was cool, but he was a cool actor. I always loved his acting, but again, he is. I guess there was times. I guess they were saying in the biography, the elevator lift underneath this swamp of madness or whatever they had under that they had connected. I guess some of the spokesmen didn't do it right or something like that. And there was a couple times when it was trying to pull the horse down. His leg almost got caught under the elevator lift, and almost pulled him under. I guess he said in his biography a couple times that it almost killed him. A couple times it came close to killing him because his leg got caught on the elevator shaft going down or whatever, the electronically part of it. But one of the movie actual directors had to pull him out of it. but with that movie, I guess when it was kind of shocking because I'd seen watched some of the biography. It was quite interesting to see how they had this three-way acting system going. Like they had Noah Hathaway, and then they had this other girl actor, and we always thought it was a boy. Because everybody says, oh, they said no, the second actor was a girl. I'm like, no, it's a boy. They said no, it was played by two boys and a girl, and Atreyu was. Well, the imaginary part of Bastion, I guess the character they were saying of Bastion was he stayed the same, but Oliver played the role of Bastion where he locked himself in the attic reading the book, and the book comes to life, and everything jumping out of this book. Now I wish the Holy Bible was like that, but it ain't. We'd have problems if it was. Again, he played the part where a boy he skips school, he takes a book from the bookstore or whatever, and he locks himself in the school attic, and he reads his book and it comes to life or whatever. But those parts, it was the same actor all the way through. But when it came to Atreyu, it was two actors. The other actor, we didn't. I guess we were shocked. I was a kid, growing up with it. I always liked it. I always thought it was Noah Hathaway all the way through because I could have argued everybody under the rug, and they said nope. They said there was a different actor, and then I was shocked when I seen the biography, and it said that there was this girl actor that played in it, and now she's older, and they did an update on the older actors on how they changed from when they were kids, and they interviewed her, and it was the same one that played at Bates Motel, and that kind of thing in one of the season, in I think first or second season, and she played Cody Brandon, and that kind of thing. But she played Atreyu in 1984, 1984 Neverending Story. She along with Noah Hathaway, so she was a fill-in. So she did the stunts, and I guess because he went under a lot, had a lot of falls and had a lot of injuries making that movie. So I mean, like movies look great. Like I know, I love buying them and watching them, but to see the biographies of what these actors actually go through, they imagine that they actually do get hurt in the process. So like I mean, they even say they can still get injured. These actors do take a lot of injury during the sets, or it depends what scenes they call up for. If it's a stunt scenes and that, and there's just some actors they actually have hired stunt actors that do the stunts for them. Again, like with Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford always, I guess they said, always had a back problem himself and couldn't do the stunts, even as a young guy or whatever. So they ended up hiring they dressed a stunt guy up that looked like him and to do his stunts. So they rotate the cameras back and forth. But there is some actors, yes, there is some actors that are that do the stunts themselves, that stay the same all the way through. That actually does both the regular acting and does stunts as well. That does both. But then there is ones there that just can't do the both. There is ones that they just have. There's some actors that they'll just call that just does their name stay on the credit, and then there's the stunt actors. If they're stunt actors, their names don't go on the credits. It is just the main actor that they're slipping in on the camera to do their stunts for. There is if it is the same role or the same character they're playing, then it's the main actor that stays on the credits. I didn't know that. But I know I learned that kind of watching the biography of it all. I thought it was really cool on how they do it, how it's all set up. It is. They got that's what I have to say. They have a pretty cool setup. When it comes down to when they make those big production movies that entertain us, that we go and buy, and we love going by and watching. And that there's a lot of work that goes behind those things. So for every movie that you go to the movie store and you buy, all that money you pay out to buy movies from the movie store goes back into their company, anyways, over time, and get circulated back into their company over time, and that so they can make more movies to publish. So the more movies they sell to sell to us people, movie fans, the movie industry every day is getting is getting richer. So they're making more and more. They're making double the amount, or triple the amount, or double times the amount to make another movie. So when every time you buy movies from the movie store, rent movies from the local video store, all that money that's taken into the video store or whatever, it goes back to the publishers, and the publishers continue to publish more and more movies. So it is a big circulating industry. It's been going. That's been strong for media circulation for years, and it's quite interesting, and that kind of stuff, to kind of have that kind of knowledge and understanding. Again, like I said, I just sit back and I like watching. I watch some of the documentaries they have on YouTube because I think they're great. Even also, too, guys, if you guys have Netflix, excuse me, the pop's backing up. If you guys watch YouTube, Netflix, whatever movie sites you guys have that you watch movies on, maybe Movie 25. If you sit down and you watch the documentaries, or tune into the documentaries, you'll see excuse me, excuse me, on how they make everything, and how it's all put together, and they actually interview the actors, and the actors explain their roles of their characters, and how the movie went together, and how it's filmed, how it's directed, and that kind of thing, and where the locations are that they filmed on, and that, and so yeah, so they kind of share a little bit about their history and their experience of it all, and that kind of thing in the public documentaries, and they show you behind the scenes of the making of it all, and the camera gliding across the location, on a camera arm, and with big projector cameras and that. And it's quite interesting in how they do up all the costumes and everything else like that. I have to grant, their movie costumes are way better than our Halloween costumes. Way better. More detail, like probably more expensive. Now, there is stores that do sell the traditional movie costumes that were used in movie sets or made for the movie sets. But again, they're very high expensive market costumes to get for Halloween. They're orderable. Yeah, they are orderable on Amazon, but they're very expensive. I was looking them up too because there was a couple of them that I was interested in buying. I'd seen the prices of them. I'm like, holy crap! I said it's good, but for collectors, it is expensive. And it is the actual traditional costumes that were worn in the movies that the actors actually wore. So that they made them up for. But again, they're at a very high right now. They're at a very high market price, and that's why it's quite interesting because I can't wait till there is the Shining. I guess next year, the Shining sequel. The second, I guess, part 2 to the Stephen King Shining is coming out. Excuse me. The theaters. So again, I'll be looking forward to that when that hits theaters. Watching that. I never go to the theaters. I wait till it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. But before I ever get around to tuning in to watching it. And I guess right now, I hear it's doing so well. I guess right now, Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween is in theaters. It was there since the 12th of October. I don't know if it's come to Canada yet or not. Maybe it is in our theaters yet. I don't know. I know it was in the States not too long ago. And I don't know if it's come across to our box office yet or not. It might be just slowly getting here. Or it might already be here. I don't know yet. It was quite interesting to see that. And so again, there's a lot of cool biographies on how the movies are being made, and also too, just also another biography I was following the also for Netflix, following the Orange Is the New Black Facebook page. And oh, that Australian drunk's on again. She's funny. Again, she's live. I got a notification. She just went live. But that is okay. Again, there was again with Netflix. I guess there's going to be a season 7 to Orange Is the New Black, and that's where they're cutting it off. I guess after season 7, they're done making Orange Is the New Black. So again, this will be the final season. So that's going to be airing on Netflix. So after it airs on Netflix, then Netflix is canceling Orange Is the New Black. So it is going to over time. It's going to be probably for a short time. It is going to remain on Netflix, and then because of the cancellation, once they get contracted for new movies to come on Netflix, start taking interest, it's going to slowly kick it. It's slowly going to be replaced with a different movie. There were also to another one that canceled out. Anybody that's been following the comic book series of Marvel, I guess the actor and director Marvel himself canceled season 3 of the making of season 3 in generally. Nobody knows what reason for. They didn't specifically say, but they just said that on Netflix that he will not be making season 3 because the actor himself canceled out. He must have had his reasons though to cancel the making of season 3 to that series. I don't know if they've specified what the reasons were yet, not or released that yet or not. But they just said he was backing out of the Netflix originals of Marvel, and that he's not interested or willing to do season 3 to finish off. So I guess they're gonna leave that sitting at season 2. So his season 3 show on Netflix has also been canceled. But at least Orange Is the New Black is willing to let their 7 be made, and then after their 7 is made, then they've canceled the project generally. So so that way it's gonna sit on Netflix, I guess, because they gotta fulfill. I guess the directors have to fulfill a contract or something like that with Netflix, so they have to wait till the contract runs out. So when Orange Is the New Black contract runs out, then I guess the Orange Is the New Black is going to disappear from Netflix and probably going to be replaced with another movie or another TV series. There is a new one that just started. It's called Sabrina. Anybody see that one yet? I just started watching that one. I thought it was really cool. It's way different than the TV shows. It's like an actual in a like a movie form. So again, I just watching bits of it here and there. And Haunting of Hill House is just on their first season. So again, they've only got one episode on there. Well, a couple of films on there for one season. So again, I haven't seen any more seasons yet. I think they may, because they're new. I think there'll be a while, and then they will have like a season 2 and 3 in that. Considering they don't cancel out. So far, there's only one season of that one. And I started watching. I got liking that one. If you're like into horror movie mysteries, I love that one. I got kind of hooked into that one. And there was, what was the other ones that I've been watching on there? Oh, there was a couple other good ones on there. There's a series of unfortunate events. Now they've so far there's only on there. There's only looks like there's 2 seasons, I think it looks like on there. 2 seasons so far for that one. So I again, just by the way, the second season ended. Have not yet. They've not talked. I guess they've not talked and introduced a 3rd season yet. They probably will, or probably I hope they don't do what all the other directors are doing, canceling out. That again, Netflix has got. It's weird because Netflix has had a lot of cancel outs. With they start off with these good seasons, and then after season two, it's like the directors kind of walk away from the project. Um, it is like they're quick to cancel everything. And again, I don't know what's with that. Because they start off getting so good, and then right when you're like, oh, there's gonna be a third season, boom, big notice on Netflix. Either Netflix or the directors or actors have canceled the project. um, but at least the Orange is the New Black is going to let their season 7 air because they've already are halfway through that season. But I guess when that's completed, there is not going to be no more Orange is the New Black. They're done for. They're done and finished. Done with complete. Done for. They're completed. So again, like I said, that's so again they have their final. So after their final, like they probably let it because they've probably got contracts with what you call directors and that kind of thing of Netflix and a media company, and they're going to probably let the contract run out, and then after the contract runs out, then you're going to eventually see it disappear off of Netflix, and they're going to replace it with another movie or another newer TV series, and that'll take its place. Now, a lot of the Ghostbusters, I don't know why, but they were also saying too that a lot of the Ghostbuster films on Netflix are slowly disappearing as well. Cartoons are still there, but the two main movies, uh, the Bill Murray movie, the one that Bill Murray was in, part one and two. It is for Halloween. It's partially there and then partially on there, and then it disappears and it comes on, it goes off. But I guess Ghostbusters is they're saying now is going to disappear from Netflix as well. I don't know why. I love that. Like I said, I'm a Ghostbuster fan. I love those movies, but too bad they couldn't let them sit on there forever. But they got to, like they said, they got to make room for other movies because they've only got so much like they said on their website, they only got so much limited space for movies, or so much gigabyte space that they can air movies on. So again, what they do is to save space. They air so many movies for so many months, or for a long period of time, and then those movies disappear, and then they're replaced with another set of movies, and then over time they'll disappear. Something new will come on. But it is like I said, it's quite interesting. I personally think, as much as I do love documentaries, they've got a whole. What's basically, I think, that's taken up all their space is the documentaries. Uh, that I personally think needs to be. I think if anything, the documentaries, as much as they're good, people do love them. Is cut down on the amount of documentaries and or take away a lot of the documentaries, or cut down on the documentaries. Start pulling the documentaries off there, and then replacing the documentaries with movies instead of taking all the good movies off and replacing it with newer movies, or no, replacing it with another documentary. I think what they need to do, I think they really need to. The movies are great to save space. If it is a space issue, I think usually the best way to do it is to get rid of the documentaries, and generally try to clean up that list of documentaries there, and start pulling a lot of those. You can delete down. You don't have to get rid of all the documentaries, but start deleting down a lot of the documentaries. Deleting the documentaries so that way they can make space for more and more movies. So that way they've got the room for new movies being contracted on there. So that way it is. So they've got room to add the newer movies in and that kind of thing. There's one documentary on there. I don't really need to follow it because I know it runs in my family. My grandfather, like I said, my grandfather for years was head of the Freemasons. World War One and World War Two vet, and for all these years they were a type of what do you call 'em? Elite secret society. Today they don't consider themselves to be a secret society, but at one time, guys, yes, they were always, and they will always be known, always carry that title, because some of their traditions are not public, but they have allowed, for years they would never allow it, would allow media cameras to go through the Freemason Lodge, and that kind of thing, or to be aired, or even through media, or pictures be exploited through media, newspapers. One time you would never ever see that with them, because they were there, but you didn't even know they even existed. They were always they were always an anonymous organization, for different reasons. But in some of the way the order operates, they did not ever wanted to be exploited, at any point in time by any media. But there's more and more documentaries appearing on YouTube, that's automatically appearing on YouTube and appearing on Netflix, called the documentary of Inside the Illuminati, or Behind the Scenes Illuminati, or inside Freemasonism, and where they're actually allowing cameras to go through an open lodge meeting, and that kind of thing. That's sworn to a secrecy oath, for historically for years, that the public is not supposed to know about. That is. Oh, my computer went down. And there was things about it that there were certain traditions they keep from the public. That the that or it has to do with their enrollments and that kind of thing, that even the Orange Lodge does, that I cannot share. But I even swore that oath too in the Orange Lodge. But even when I took a leave of absence. But that's what I said. There's things in their traditions, historical traditions, or there's certain enrollments traditions and what they call levels or degrees. It can't be shared. So again, they've always they have that very strong, they've got that very strong, what you call a luministic side of them, if you want to call it a religious luministic side of them, that they're always to be kept anonymous in their meetings, and that kind of stuff. What goes on? It's not like. Their meetings is not like belonging to, being a member of the Legion and sitting in a Legion meeting. The Masonry meetings are totally different, and very religious standards, and rules and bylaws, and very kept to a secrecyism, that you can't talk, that you can't share what entitles degrees, but what goes on in them. Basically, that's all I can share of my experience of it, anyways. Of the on the orange end of it, anyways. Like I said, the Orange Lodge is not quite Freemason, but it is of the same persuasion. It has the same connections to the Freemasons. So it is to be so a lot of the Orangemen that actually go through the Orange Order. Actually works the way through can work the way through the Orange Order, through the Royal Black Order, and then up to the Freemasons. So automatically doors will open in Freemasonism for them by the time they're done the Orange. If they live long enough with what's going on over in Ireland. So I mean that's if they don't get shipped over there before they get to the to the Red Cross and Crown, or before they make it up to the gates of the Knights, the Order of the Knights Templar, of the Freemasons, before they get that high. That is just one of those. Those are just one of those cool topics. And that kind of thing. But again, like I can share basically just a kind of an outline of them, but the reason why they're so quiet and anonymous. But I can't actually tell you what goes on in their actual meetings and the actual behind inside their degrees, because they're once it's a closed dungeon door, they call it. It is a candidate is chained in, not physically, but spiritually is chained in to the order, and keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. So, but they did say, if you guys watch Inside the Freemasons, documentary on Netflix, right when they get to the door, to the what you call the Knights Templar dungeon door, before the candidate, they'll just show them taking the candidate, calling the candidate out of the waiting room and up the stairs to the door. When the cameras get to the door, they close the door and they say that the cameras cannot go any further, due to a secrecy order of bylaw, because the candidate is spiritually chained in the Knights Order dungeon of the Freemasons, Knights Templar of the Freemasons. So that becomes a closed lock door for a reason. So again, because there's two things that they'll put the candidate through, through his enrollment his enrollment, because it's a men's group, so it is in the men's order. So again, there's things that they will not, the camera couldn't even show you on film, and that they even say it on Netflix if you ever follow that. So basically, they just show you the kind of the outline, like their outside life, and before they become part of the order. That's why I said there is. That's why I said I was kind of surprised, because when I was again, like I said, there's. I'm surprised they're even allowing that to actually be people go through with a camera like that to film that. And I can only share my opinions of it. Not a bad opinion of it, anyways. Like I said, my grandfather was ahead of the thing for years. But again, there's just some things in it that they don't want. When they wouldn't let the cameras go past a certain point, because of the very deep secrecy of the organization and how top secret it really is. So it is. My Facebook went out there for a minute, but yeah. So that's when I said that there is, again, it is very, very quite interesting history to it, and historical history to it, anyways. But who's saying hi to me here? Somebody said hi to me. Oh, hi, Clarence. How you doing? So yeah, so like I said, I can't say what goes on in any of their meetings, but I know, because I went through it in the Orange, when I went through the Orange Lodge. I went through it. So that's what I said. So again, it is, so if you really look at the history of the Orange Order, it is a Freemason organization. Part of the Freemason community. A lot of people don't see it as that, but if you go back to the time, and I can share this about history. If you go back to the time of King William, the very first King William, Prince of Orange, he was he was the one that was the first founder of the Orange Order in 18 I think back before 1812, when he ruled over the UK, over England, and before he was the founder of the Orange Order, he was originally Catholic, not Protestant. He converted a lot of Catholic people, turned a lot of Catholic people against the Catholic Church, because he rebelled against the Pope, and back those days he actually formed a loyalist order to stand up against the Catholic Church. Which went to the Bishop of Canterbury back those days. And you were looking at back in the 1812 war days, a lot of evil things he did, and there was a lot of what you call hatred towards the Catholic Church back those days, which started a religious revolution. And today it is getting a lot better, but again, in some parts of the world, it still goes on, like in Northern Ireland. Not as bad as it used to, but it is, again, it's starting to calm down and that kind of thing. Like even back to the 80s, where, back to the 80s and the 90s with the Irish Republican Army of Ireland, southern, northern, western Ireland, which was the Irish Republicans was labeled, and the Irish Republicans at one time were actually accused of being alienistic over Ireland and being terrorizing. Actually, was labeled as being a terrorist organization that terrorized Ireland for decades and generations, and that you had the orange and the green Loyalist March. But that was over history. That was 100 years ago, and so there was over history. If you ever took history in school or whatever and that kind of stuff, it's on all the history books, and that kind of stuff as well. So. So there's a little bit of history, but the guy himself, he was back those days. He started out. He was the actual at the same time during the same time generation of the same time of that revolution. He was the first king of the UK, and he was also back those days. He was a Freemason. King William was actually of Orange was a Knights Templar. They even said that they did the research. They even said that the reason why the Orange Lodge is considered a Freemason organization is because of the practice and the traditions they have. That is part of the Freemason community. So again, because King William, Prince of Orange, was a Freemason. Back those days, a lot of those guys were. All those royalist leaders, royalists, and that every generation of the royal families, everything from generation to generation, was all Freemasonry for years. Somewhat today, but not as much probably. But back those days, it was big war movement. Everything from him to King James of Scotland. I mean, it was. Now, there's another dude. That's a dude. A lot of people, there's a guy that was a very terrible racist dude right there, the guy that wrote the King James Bible. Again, he was another leadership. He was, if you read his biography, I read his biography. Anybody who's a history nut? Again, any church that claims to follow the King James Bible, they don't realize that they're actually following the devil himself, because King James, according to history, if you even read his biography, the same guy that supposedly wrote the King James Bible, reason again why it was sacred is because it was done by the Freemasons. Did the Free Bible, because King James to himself was a Freemason, but because he ruled over Scotland for years, for generations. There was a lot of evil things that he did to people back in his time, because back in those days, it's the way the laws were. You go back according to history. If you read his biographies, in some of the biographies, he was very cruel over Scotland and England. He tried to control 90% of Scotland, England, and Ireland, the British Isles. And then he went down through the United States and some of the things he did with the Salem witch trials, and where the fact that he accused people of being witches, and he used to hang and burn them alive back in the 1800s. Again, he was another evil royalist, but that proclaimed to be a prophet of Christ. So again, by writing the King James Bible, but on top of that, he wrote a book on demonology, and a lot of people didn't ever realize that. Or I study that far in. So a lot of Baptist churches says, yeah, we don't read nothing but the King James Bible is the Word of God. Guess what? They're believing a lie from the pit of hell. Because the guy himself, King James, was labeled as being the devil himself. There was nothing godly about the man. Again, it is, today every church can read whatever they want and follow any Bible they want. I'm not saying they can't follow any Bible they want, but again, the guy that they do profess to follow was very evil. A lot of people thought that King William, Prince of Orange, was really evil because of some of the things he did to a lot of Catholic people over history. Well, King James was one of the next worst Hitlers that ever ruled the world. Was just as bad before the time of Hitler. Generations before World War One, World War Two. Before the Nazis and the time of Hitler era. So all these guys over history were totally cruel people. They were not like your everyday Christian people that maybe be like today. Back those days, they were evil. There was evil things they did to people because they were accusing people of being demonly possessed. They were accusing people of being because they came from because they tried immigrating from Mexico, or because they were Spanish speaking, or they spoke a different language, or the skin was a different color. They were accused of witchcraft, and King James did a lot of evil stuff to people, and also which carried on to the order of the KKK. So which is over generation to generation. So again, there was a lot of those secret evil societies that they call them, did a lot of evil things to people, and that over the past history. If you ever read the history books, just showing an outline and that kind of thing. I like doing a lot of history study and that kind of thing. Reading the history books because now I go back and I see what they're talking about. I couldn't really understand it when I was growing up as a kid, or even when I was in school. That's why I've never got an A+ on anything or science and anything. But like I said, there was a lot of cruel things that these groups did to people. For no reasons whatsoever, and a lot of racist things they did. That was very back those days. But yeah, because the fact the world was at war, it was different. Same when he went through the '60s, and a lot of the religious wars carried on through the '60s and that kind of stuff. So again, there was a lot of hate that went on. If you actually read our everyday Canadian history and American history. But again, back to the relation of King James himself. King James, the man that supposedly was a prophet of Christ, or is supposed to be the main Bible publisher of the King James Bible, the Baptists are all claiming that they follow. And because the Baptists, the Southern, that they're true Southern Baptists if they don't follow no other Bible but the King James Bible, and they swear it to be the Word of God. It is technically, that's where you guys are fooled, because some of the evil things that King James did, or King William's, Prince of Orange, did back in those times and decades, there is a lot of, according to history, there was a lot of evil that went on, that these guys, or a lot of torture these guys did, and a lot of massacres or slaughters these guys did. On top of it, also a king that slaughtered his own men, his own troops, were Orange troops or whatever, going to the Battle of Boyne, turned on his own men, on top of led his own men into a slaughter. That's what I see. You read a lot of those histories. They do carry a bad history that for years that put a bad mark name to them. Like today, yes, I can see that a lot of today is all about, a lot of those groups now are totally all about charity, but they do a lot more for charity now, which is good. But they're not, again, they've changed. They're not as the way, or the groups here in Canada are not as way they used to be. But because of the fact that their leadership, or their history over the last 100 decades, has put a bad mark to their name. So again, it is left what they call a lot of even if you were to sit down, even a psychic will actually sit there, and I'm surprised they even tell you this. A psychic could actually sit there and tell you that that they've left a generational curse. Means generational curse means it's been carried on from generation to generation. A lot of people believe that if it is if you know you've had relatives from you ancestries that were involved even back from the war times, it is a thing if it runs in your family. They're not like the way they used to be today. Like they're not today as they were back those days. But those days too, they're afraid that over time can come back. With the way things are going on in the media, you see signs of it all every day. You know, it is like you see an outburst of hate all across Facebook. You see it every day now since now there's Facebook. You're starting to see the Confederacies raise their flag again. I'm not saying it's a bad flag, but some of the things that went on behind that flag, like the links, like the Nazis, like the Nazi flag or the Nazi KKKs that were connected to that flag. You know, have put a bad mark to that flag. But today it's probably not as bad today. You know, is like in this today generation, some of the people that may be still around, maybe not as bad, but some of them are getting bad. Some of the grandkids, some of the grandkids from that might have had ancestries in those. I'm not like that. I'm not in any way like that. But if you look at the States, some of these grandkids, ancestry grandkids are slashing out at people that are different. It was pretty bad because a couple months ago, there was a Jewish synagogue in the States, in the southern states, that they actually had to smuggle. And this happened just in the last 2 years. They actually had to smuggle their congregation out the back, out to the basement, out the back door, and to put them on buses to bust them out of the church because there was a riot Confederacy KKK riot out the front of the church. And that kind of thing. It was in the media and that kind of stuff. I seen that come across Facebook. I literally almost had a heart attack that this would happen in this generation with all our laws today we have, even through the States, with all the racism bylaws that we have today and that kind of thing. To think that this could still go, that that history is going to repeat itself, or signs that history is going to repeat itself over years. But you know, it is quite shocked to see that, because we thought, well, you know, that's history, that happened years ago. There's no way it's gonna happen in this generation, or it's never gonna happen again. But you know, you can never say never, because it is even you see some of the news reports, or you see some of the in the media, it is bad to the point that history is starting to repeat itself. Like Toronto, Ontario had a G1 summit. I know, because I travel. I don't like those things, but at that time, my wife and I was just moving to Wyerton here, and by Greyhound, and the Greyhound buses had to reroute, and we literally missed our bus because they didn't tell us they were rerouting the buses. We're standing on platform 9, waiting for not 9 3/4, 9. There was no 1/ or other 3.5 numbers on platform 9. And we were waiting for our bus to pull in, and our bus was rerouted before we could get on it. So they had to actually call a city bus and put us on a city bus and transport us over to another terminal to get on this bus to come out to out to Owen Sound, because in front of the main Grand Central Station in Toronto, on Yonge and Dundas Street, there was a big riot. There was a big racist protest riot that broke out, and I guess they were doing stupid stuff, like they were blowing cars up, like gasoline, blowing up police cars, everything, right, and flipping them over in the middle of the road. So they had to bus all the passengers that was traveling out of Peterborough, that were traveling to different destinations. They had to move us from one station, downtown Toronto station, over to another Greyhound terminal, so we could get on our bus safely without being caught in the middle of a summit. Um, it was really bad that year. That was about what was 2000. Well, this was 2010, 2011. Well, yeah, about 2011 because it was already 2011 when we boarded out this way, and that kind of thing, and we had to see all that coming up this way, and it was sick to see. It was a bunch of teenagers. It was the drums were going, everything. It was terrible, terrible. Um, and it was funny because back in 2011, it hit the media too. It hit all of the Toronto newspapers. I remember seeing that there. It was very loud and very disturbing to see. Um, it was not pretty. It was a total out of control riot. But like I said, that's Toronto for you. Anybody's ever lived in a big city or lived in a place like Toronto or a big city like Toronto, Ottawa, or down in Montreal, Quebec, or even in the States in Chicago, New York City. Toronto, those big cities are bad for that. Um, it is. It's just they have the good times and they have their bad times. Like I mean, and that's like anywhere in the world. It's never going to be pretty. But yeah, so that is so again. Those like I said, so that kind of relates over what's happened over time of history. Yeah, you could say I sit there and watch too many movies, but you don't need to watch movies. Just go downtown Toronto or go downtown Ottawa or downtown Peterborough. You just watch it live. Um, Free entertainment too. No, just kidding. But no, like I said, that's it is like I said. We have our good times, and that we have our good. We like I said, we no matter where we live, there's always negativity around us. We're never going to get away from that. I always stay away from that kind of department, just like I stay away from like I'm a type that stays away from politics, but I don't mind kind of sharing a little bit of history. That kind of over time I've kind of read in history books and that kind of stuff. Or even going through school and learning different styles of history, and that is quite cool. And some of the things you learn or understand about. Because I didn't realize when I was a kid growing up, going to a Baptist church as a kid. When I was a little kid, went to a Baptist church, and they were again they were going to go about King James Bible, but as I got older, I started to see through the lines, and that the fact that the guy that they were claiming that they were following was never a good guy to begin with, according to history. There is after watching some of these documentaries that on how evil these dictators or these religious leaders have been over the last few years and decades, how evil they have been from generation to generation, and that kind of stuff as well. That a lot of people don't really clue in. So that's why a lot of a lot of churches now do not. A lot of churches now have changed a lot of their literature. They weren't made to, um, because if they know the true history about behind the history of King James himself, um, on how bad and how evil of a guy he was, and how anti-Christian he really was, and how much of a false prophet he was, and that kind of thing. They've actually a lot of churches now have gotten a lot of Baptist churches that followed the King James Bible for years have slowly separated from the King James Bible, went into NIV, New International, or some of the newer modern English international versions, because of the fact that is because they've pulled now with the internet technology, they have found evidence and they've went back and according to history and they've found the real truth about who King James was and who he really was, what he was really like, and how evil of a man or how evil of a king and heir he really was, towards towards a lot of village to a lot of his or claim to be his followers, and the people have learned that over the time in the histories was the real in the outline of it all when he was judging and persecuting people, accusing them of being witches or being a witchcraft. They found out the real witch behind everything was King James himself. Or the real anti-Christian or the real devil himself was King James. The history has actually proved that. That part of it they did prove. They have evidence on that. Theologians have gotten evidence on that because they've actually went back and since internet's so big and they can do family trees and you got denominations now that will do your family tree for you like the Mormons. They'll actually take you back and through your family tree, or they could do research that goes back 100 years. And again, same with the guys we don't like, that we fear the most, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Those guys, believe it or not, they have technology. They have what you call ancestry technology, like the Mormons do. Same with the Seventh-day Adventists. They've got the technology that they can go back 100 years. Go back and research 100 years now because technology is so high enough. They can go back now 1,000 years, and they can even go way back to the time of King James himself, back to the time of King William, Prince of Orange, and they can actually see who your last name relates to, or which one of these religious evil leaders you could have been or might have been related to at one point, or your family and ancestry could be a relation to or not be relation to, or it could go back so many years. So when you do your family tree, they've got the technology that they can take you back into time and find out exactly what nationality you were, where you come, where your first family were first descended from, your actual family last name, who they're all related to, and how far back you go. And what scares me the most is the fact that there was a guy with the same name as me. He's probably dead and gone now, but there was a guy lived 100 years ago in the pioneer days that had the same name and a namesake as I have today. They think that might have been part of my ancestry. It goes way back 100 years, almost to the pioneer days, and he had the same name as I have today. His actual name was actually Timothy Scott as well, but it was Sir Timothy Scott, because the fact that he carried a Sir name on top of it, because the fact that the pioneer days or whatever, they would have descended from Scotland or England, or he would have been over in Ireland or England, so but it would have been spelt differently. But it carries the name that my parents gave me when I was born relates to this pioneer dude that lived 100 years ago. Technically the guy would be dead now, but it is quite interesting. Like I said in the Hunter's Cabin series, that historically, if you look back far enough, names were relevant then as they are today. So the names we have today, they would have had back then too, as well. So technically, it is some type of ghost dude you're connected to, alienistic dude you're kind of connected to. It is kind of cool that, but like I was sharing my mom's mother. Which would have been my grandmother. She was before she married my grandfather. Before my mom and her 8 kids were born. Again, my mom's passed on now, but when I was growing up, she shared a little bit about where my grandmother came from, and we found a little bit of history about my grandmother, and the fact my grandmother was originally, before she became a cowdrey, she was a fowler from Aberdeen, Scotland. And that's where she was born from. That's where she hailed from, was Aberdeen, Scotland. She was heir to a lot of what you call a lot of Scotch clans. There was the Fowler clan, and then she was also related to the Gordon of Huntly clan. Toad. So And so again, and also too, she used to also share. She used to share all the histories of all the kings that ever aired over all of Scotland. She used to know all that. She used to know all the history about King James. She knew all the bad history, the good and bad history about him. She every king that ever sat on the throne from England all the way through Scotland, like King Arthur. Um, these guys did actually air at one time. They were real people at one time, before the movie technology came out. But they would have been different in reality than they are in the movies. In the movies, they're just actors reacting everything. But back in the reality of it, their air and their attitude was totally different. Their influence on the world and how evil and how powerful some of those leaders were compared to today. Um, we're quite different than it is today. Um, so again, like if you look at our royal sovereign today, with the royal family of England, is over that royalties over Canada, that they were the greatest era that ever sat in on the throne. I have to grant that again they've changed this generation. Again, being airing over these different countries today. We're back 100 years ago. The era of King James himself, or King. These religious leaders back 100 years ago were so evil. They let us nothing into war after war. From generation to generation. Every time every time we fought for freedom, these religious idiots would always start another war. Never fails. You know, they didn't know when to quit. They couldn't take no for an answer. Um, but again, so that's why I'm so glad today we have the freedom we have, and our veterans, they fought for our freedom so we could be free today from all that. But today, if you look at today, there's still some countries today that is that are still in a hot bubble, with what you call war departments and that kind of stuff. Um, that is slowly trying to change, but over time will change. But we don't know when, but that's what I've said. So I'm glad we've got the freedom we have, but we take it for, some people say we take it for too much of it granted. Um, but those are just sharing a little bit of high school history. I should have got an A+ in. Um, in a school, but I wasn't this smart when I was in school, guys. I wasn't. um, but again, ever since we came into what you call an internet era, or a generation, there's a lot of biographies. After sitting back, just watching a few documentaries, you learn a lot. Um, yeah, some of them can be twisted. Some people believe that some of them can be twisted and not be telling the entire truth of it all. Same with the history books. Some of it they say is not 100% relevant, but like I said, it is quite interesting if you're into studying, just for a hobby, some of the history, like I am, and that kind of thing. Like I said. So again, like I said, it's but. But yeah, I just like sit back and that kind of thing. So again, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't graduate high school, because the fact that at the time I went to high school, and we can get in again. We're bringing on a different topic here, and so again, we had your history lessons for tonight. I hope you guys are listening. Um, so again, when I was in high school. We ended up having to go to school at night. A lot of us didn't do so well out of our part-time jobs at the time we had when I was in high school. This is way before they decide they're going to stick me in the happy class and stick me on disability for the rest of my life. I did actually, at one time, I actually did have a life. but but again, like I said, I fell behind a lot in school, and I had trouble keeping up with the rest of the classes, and I fell far behind. And they tested me, and then they even found out that I had a slow learning disorder, and so again they isolated me into a special need class, where I was isolated from the rest of the high school. And then before the night, going to school at night, things started. They disrupted a lot of. So I didn't want any of my after school programs disrupted. So I transferred from the one high school to another high school, and so which is an early morning high school. And the hours were different because the hours were from 7:15 in the morning until 12. And then my school was from lunchtime till 9 o'clock at night, because they had to make up all 3 periods. And I'm like, I was not going to go to school until 9 o'clock at freaking night. No way. Was I going to be, because I was used to having my high school, because the school that I was going to had an asbestos problem. They had to evacuate and tear down the school. And so again, they partnershiped with another high school, because they had to pull everybody out of the school because of the asbestos issue at the same time. And for me to stay at Thomas A. Stewart, I would have had to go to school from 12 to 9. And at night, I'm like, no, thank you. Because they were cutting into my cadet times, too. Training times, because we had, like, bush trainings on weekends. And, we were in and out of Base Borden. We were in and out of Trenton. A lot. In and out of the armories, out of Peterborough. We were traveling all over the place. This before I became old enough to join the Legion. And in Peterborough. And that kind of stuff. And that, so again, we were going to have to go to school from 12 in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night. There was no way I was going to kind of sacrifice all my activities that I was doing, like my cadets, everything else like that. And I kept getting yelled at too for no reason. I wasn't the only one. There was a whole bunch of us. Because of the fact of our school schedule got so screwed up. And I said, that is it. I said, I'm not getting yelled at by another CEO or another sergeant. I said, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to fix this one. And so I went before. I had the guts to go before the school board. And I said, you know what, this 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. night, I said, I know we had an asbestos problem. We're sharing with another high school. I said, well, why don't you just transfer me over, see if there's room, and transfer me over to the other high school. And for the 7:15 in the morning, and I go only till 12 o'clock at night, so I can, be like, like Little Red Riding Hood, and twaddle through the woods past the big bad wolf, so I can continue on to my cat training. They said no. We'll see. They said we'll see if we can find room. So, again, they found room, all right, but they put me in the happy class again. Oh man, I tell you. I never got away from the happy class. Like I said, the kids in it were great that I went to school with. They were great, but they stuck me in like a behavior Cody Bell type class at the time. And trust me, it was not, like I said, we had a class full of Cody Bells at the time. Their names were not Cody Bell, but he reminds me of a bunch of kids I went to school with. He's a great guy, but he reminds me of a lot of kids I went to school with. Just the personality. It is, like I said, it is like I said, I tried everything to get into the regular system. They would not ever let me in the regular system. They were lucky enough they found me one class, and that was either between drama or woodshop. Between one or two classes. Drama, I loved the most. I have to grant that. When I took drama, I got a lot more out of drama than I ever did wood. Like I couldn't. With wood class guys, I'm a type of guy. I measured twice. so again, like I said, with woodworking, like they say, if you measure once, you're smart. If you measure twice, you're stupid. It was an old figure of speech. Maybe I was the stupid one to measure twice. But no, that was a bit of a sense of humor. But drama, I got a lot of drama when I was in school. I have to grant, I got a lot out of drama. performing arts. Even in public school, I always loved drama classes. I always loved them. From going, it was the only time you got to be somebody else. It was the only time, especially if you're putting on a like if your class was doing a play or whatever, school play for the public or whatever. They used to actually charge tickets for it. They had licensed charge tickets for it too, because big city school, public school, even with high schools. Um, there was a lot of those productions I liked, and there was some of them they were kind of puny and Mickey Mouse-ish at first, but then my second year of high school, man, they started getting good because they started getting into the big time production thingies. They started getting permits and licenseship for some of the bigger stuff like Once Upon a Mattress, and don't remind me of that one. That's a little bit like Jack of the Beanstalk. That was one of the most embarrassing ones. Oh, and then there was the other one. What was the other one that we did? Oh, a couple of them. Like Grandma got run over by a reindeer. I did not like the fact that I was the kind of the reindeer's ass. It was a costume. I tried the role of Santa Claus. They had to get somebody else because I just was too short, not chubby enough. But again, I also tried for the role of Grandma too. But still, they would not accept me to play Grandma. I couldn't play Grandma in that drama class. They wanted a girl to play Grandma. So somebody got the role of Grandma, but all I got was it was a reindeer costume because you had somebody in the front and in the front of the costume, and then it was one of those costumes that went over your head, and you gotta have two people in the costume, and unfortunately, what kind of threw me off is because our teacher was the reindeer's head. I tried talking him into trading spaces, but he wouldn't do it. So again, he got the front end of the reindeer. I ended up being the reindeer's ass. It was not too comfortable in this costume. For Grandma. Now that was Grandma ran over by a reindeer. Now that was the most embarrassing one. That was a school production. I remember we doing it. It was funny. Those were funny times. Now I'm gonna share. This is gonna be funniest. Then the other one we did a musical called I Need a Vacation. Oh man, that is a hoot. A lot of rules, guys. There was a lot of rules. A lot of people were going for. When that one rolled around, that was a big set. That one we loved that one. That was a bit the high school. The public that was about grade 8 when I hit grade 8, almost grade 9. Drawed a lot of people in that one. It is about a family. They end up on a game show, and it's one of those. It's one of those vacation stories, and they travel to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Well, again, we were just acting. So there was a lot of different roles. Like I said, there was a lot of different roles. I think I was out of all these productions when I was in school that I was a part of in drama class. I think I made a total asshole of myself out of every single one. Generally, that's probably why I never never ever tried auditioning to be a movie star. I went as far as college to carry on. I could have, I should have, if I had been smart and not let the school push me around the way I did, but I did. But again, it could have opened a lot of doors, and I didn't realize at the time it would have opened. I wasn't thinking that smartly as a kid. But again, some of the productions we did, what was it? I need a vacation. I played 2 parts in that one. I played Baby Bobby Joe. He's a 3-year-old. Bobby Joe is in the story is technically is a 10-year-old child that is dragged along on a family vacation, and that's the family wins this trip across the Grand Canyon, and he does everything to piss his father off. He's an annoying little child in the back. One of those children when you go on a family vacation that's always whining about something or for something. According to the story, now that is a quote according to the story. Now I played that part. I played it so well too. And then there was a mocking, crying scene, because the idea is the fact that Bobby Joe has to go to the bathroom, and did not know enough to go to the bathroom before he leaves the house. So the family drags the kids all over. These kids, like there was a brother, there's a sister, right, in the back, and the sister's telling the little brother to shut the hell up, and mocking a little bit of a fist fight in the back. So it was kind of a cardboard box kind of thing set up, or a wooden thing on wheel, or kind of wooden thing on wheels that you bring across the stage, and it was so funny, and it was part of the scene where Bobby Joe is stubborn, and the parents get halfway across apparently halfway across the states, according to the production, and it's an actual school play, and the kid is whining because he's got to go to use the washroom, and he can't because the car they're already in process of vacation, and he's pissing the father off, and the father doesn't want to pull over, and the father turns around and says, "Don't make me pull this car over, or I'll pull his car over," and part of the lines, and it's quite funny. And that kind of thing. I remember that script. I used to have it written out. I used to have the whole entire play script written out. And then then the fact that they also get to go to also there's a baseball scene, and then I also played the bat boy where the guy drags out all the baseball. He's part of the guy on the ball field, the dummy that pulls out all the bag of baseball bats and balls. For the baseball players, and there was a baseball, the baseball player scene of the production, and then there was what was it? There was there was a lot of scenes. Also, too, there was the Las Vegas scene. Oh man, somebody I almost got the Las Vegas scene role, but. Again, it was a close one because there's too many people that were auditioning for it when we had the auditions for the production when I was in public school. I made it for the production of the character of Bobby Joe, and the Bat Boy. The Bat Boy had no lines. Bobby Joe had like a little bit of Bobby Joe, the little child dude, 10-year-old child dude, had a couple funny lines in that. That was kind of a little brother and big sister type thing in the back seat, scrapping at each other, and that kind of thing. And that one production, school production, it was quite neat. And that we were kids, we were in public school. It was part of the script. It was written out on paper. I used to have it. I used to have a musical tape to that one too. I Need a Vacation and Surfing Santa. But like I said, there was that was quite interesting. And my memory now has come back for those times. This was a big city school production thing, theater thing, and we did for drama class, and this was public school. And it was quite interesting because we did, and then the role that I was originally trying for, did not make it. They said I had the looks, but because it was in the main scene that hit the big newspapers, again at that time my singing wasn't as good as it is now on karaoke, but back then my singing was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was good enough to be in the choir, but as a soloist, because in the production, you end up being if it's in an actual play production, it is actually you have to be able to do a full soloist. It was a role of Elvis Presley in the I Need a Vacation theme, in the Las Vegas theme before they hit the Grand Canyon. Where they pull into Las Vegas, and where Elvis comes out and that kind of thing. Another big Jesus Christ error. the big king of rock and roll, in that part of the play, production. And another guy in my class beat. Funny thing, another guy. He was a tall, thin guy, and he had the height. The guy actually had the looks and the height. I just had the looks. At that time my voice wasn't even deep enough to develop enough yet to do it, but his did. So again, he beat me to that role. I would have almost, I almost would have almost got a big role in that one. So again, it was quite interesting. And his first name was the same as mine, but it was different last name. But again, he did an awesome job at it, and he totally, like I said, when it came to that, when it was drama class, it was actual school open public night. So that means they were sold tickets for the public to go in and watch it, and he really filled the place up. Technically, he really filled the place up right with that scene alone. All the newspapers got in there. Peterborough This Week, Peterborough Examiner got in there, and Checks TV 12 got in there. I remember those times when I was in school and that kind of thing. Then we did after that, and then we went, and then there was a Christmas one. There was I Need a Vacation. We did I Need a Vacation. The other one was Surfing Santa. Surfing Santa as a different one. I fit the rules to a T to an elf. I played an elf in that one. I played. I was in the choir, and I also played an elf. Now the Surfing Santa, you have Santa Claus. Now, this is a bit of a trickster because it's about an evil elf. It starts out at the North Pole, and again, Santa Claus is on a game show. The elves set up a game show to distract Santa Claus from his work. And they literally pull Santa Claus away from his work. And they put him on it. They get him enrolled in and sign him up to a game show without him knowing. And they con him into a game show, live game show. And this evil elf, he sets up this game show, and he has a Jeopardy moment with Santa Claus. So he rigs up this game show. So he gets Santa Claus to win this game show. So he cons Santa Claus into winning a free trip to the Barbados. So they get rid of Santa Claus so this evil elf can take over the North Pole and run things his own way. And do his evil deeds, scientific deeds, whatever, to corrupt and to actually terrorize the North Pole, and terrorize the rest of the elves, and so anyhow, then halfway through it, Santa Claus comes back and saves the North Pole, that kind of stuff as well, type of plays, and finds out that this elf has taken over the North Pole. A little bit like it was totally different but in live production. Again, now you see there is a Christmas movie Tim Allen did with called The Santa Claus that has a little bit of that in it, but again it was a live school play production, but it was called Surfing Santa. So again, I used to have all the script characters all written out for that one, and it was quite interesting when we were kids watching it or doing that. That was quite interesting. That one there, and then we had we had a choir as well. We had the big the Peterborough choir, what was it at the time? What was it? It was named after the city, but I can't remember what they had. It was a long name, anyways. It was the Peterborough. It was the Peterborough County Choir. It was something like that. I forget what it was called now. But yeah, it had the name of the city I grew up in. And it was a city choir that was an actual choir that they audition you, and they fit you wherever according to your singing skills were. If you're a soloist or your highest, or you were mediumist. It depends on how loud and how quiet you are. And all the loud singers, the surround sound singers we used to call them, were always in the back row. way at the back, because they could bring up everybody. So the ones in the middle were all your quiet singers. And then the ones in the front row never sang at all. And the last two rows did all the singing. So always the way. So the front row, all the front row was sit there and mouth the words, like airband style. But the back two rows were the ones doing all the work. So again, you had your surround sound singers, you had your medium singers, and then you had your low life singers at the front that didn't sing at all. That was so funny. Again, they just sit the front row people just sit there and just try to mock their way through it. That was always so funny. So we were kids though too. So again, they did everything, and now that choir is growing, and they've formed an adult choir now too. A lot of those kids are all growing up like my age now. They're probably in the adult choir now. But again, they did a lot of songs to do with big productions, like with the high school, with the public schools, all the way through high schools. They do a lot of Christmas caroling at big events, like down in Peterborough when they have the big festival of trees. That's ran by hospice, the hospitals, and they have down there every year. And they also into doing a lot of your Walt Disney favorite songs, like stuff from Aladdin to Oliver and Company to every Walt Disney published song that was ever published, like in Pete's Dragon, the original Pete's Dragon from 1977. Probably some of the newer one now, 2016, are probably doing now, but they did it again because the choir itself has got authorizations, proper licensing, to actually sing all the Walt Disney favorites, like everything probably from Pinocchio to anything that was ever musical, Beauty and the Beast. So I mean, it's some of the songs that might have been in Cinderella. A lot of those are The Little Mermaid. Like I said, that is that. So again, they got different. That when they travel too. I don't think they've ever traveled out of the city down there, but there was a couple times they said they did. Again, there was a lot, and that was quite interesting. So they do a lot of. They go around. They do a lot of. They sing for a lot of senior homes and that kind of stuff as well. And they're really cool sounding choir now. They probably got the front row and actually learned how to sing now, probably. But so again, like they were not bad. But then, of course, I got older. I got married and came out this way where my father lives, and find out that my father don't give two shits about me whatsoever. He acts like I'm not here. So again, like I said, that's just him. He's set his ways. Like I said before, he's. What do you expect for a guy that walks out on his 3-year-old son when he was 3? I can understand him walking out on my mom, but at the same time he did that, he walked out on me at the same time. And like I said, that as a kid, he kept going, never looked back, didn't give two shits.